92.3 Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Ed Oliver back on the practice field. Ed Oliver back on the practice field. Oh, there's so much to get to as we get ready for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and the Buffalo Bills traveling to Denver on Saturday as we welcome you into the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, we're glad you're with us at 95.7 FM, AM 950. You can hear us on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. Find us in the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps. We're even streaming live on our YouTube channel and on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. I'm Danger. Over there, that's Battaglia.
You can call me Bills expert, Gene Battaglia. That's how it was introduced. Not co-host of the sports bar and Bills expert.
Wow.
That's like some.
So Drake didn't know your prediction from last week's game. He didn't ask you.
No, we kind of glossed over that.
Yeah,
skipped over that.
All right, Bills expert. Yeah, that's right. This morning, this guy over here was on national radio, making his debut appearance in the Drake Toll Show here on the Fan Rochester. How was that?
It was good. Just like we predicted. It's the who has the pressure, how much but it was interesting. He's asking about the pressure on Allen. And are people down on Allen here that isn't there? I'm thinking, no, not at all.
Single person I've heard say, and I don't know that you'll find. What would that game have to look like for us to be like, it had multiple turnovers, right? It just doesn't happen in the playoffs. We haven't seen it.
If it happens, we all say, okay, tell us more about the injuries here, what he's going through. And if you're, I think people are much more confident this week, but I just want to point out that Josh Allen kind of had his bye going into Jacksonville, and this isn't 14 days in between games. This is only 6.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big factor, but it is the postseason. But sure, that came up. Tell me about McDermott or people that are like, hey, after every loss, we assess blame. And that like every fan base. And the Bills lose to Denver, for sure. We will get calls about the future. Should the Bills be better off with new leadership? And just telling that audience, too, that's just not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Don't see it happening. Not now. We could have had this conversation on Monday if it didn't go well in Jacksonville, especially with the way it was trending there, with plenty of time left on the clock for the Jags to move down the field with a kicker who can hit from 80.
See, I'm not backing down on that. That was the right play. Take the points.
I get it, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. But if it goes the other direction, and we go to overtime, and everybody's angry, and you lose, what the hell was McDermott thinking? You got to milk the clock. Your defense can't stop a nosebleed. Blah, blah, blah.
It's results-driven business, like most businesses are. That's the NFL, and but back to Allen, like, oh, people down about Josh Allen in the playoffs. I'm like, tell me the game where Josh Allen didn't perform well in the playoffs. Cincinnati.
One game.
That's it.
Yeah, he was off. Just off that game. Well, we'll continue to talk Bills and Broncos through the course of this afternoon, through the course of this week. And because yesterday Sean McDermott was speaking at his normal time on with us here in the sports bar, Matt Perino stops by for a special Wednesday chat coming up here in about 20 minutes or so. He covers a team for the Syracuse Post-Standard.
So we'll ask him all these injury there were 14 guys in the injury report. Yeah. I don't feel like listing them all off here, but we'll hit the key points, namely the starters. Okay, we know Poyer's out. We can tell you that. What do you do at free safety? We know there's 2 ACL injuries. Okay, what do you do at receiver 4 and 5? I'm thinking it's Hardman and Samuel, but do we really feel good about that? Is there an option that we don't know about? Ty Johnson not practicing today. Is it another Frank Gore, or is it just run James Cook into the ground sort of game. Matt Perino, Shall Podcast, Syracuse Post-Standard, coming up at the bottom of the hour. If you're a Bills fan, you don't want to miss this.
If you're going to have some action this weekend, if you're going to bet on the divisional round and on the college football championship coming up here on Monday night, we'll get you some money. Betting expert PJ Glasser stopping by the sports bar at 4:25 this afternoon.
You know, in this sport, Danger, where it pushed aside the Monday night game, right? But all the other games were like, all right, I guess maybe up until the fourth quarter, you really didn't know which direction for sure that Patriot-Charger game was going. They're all close, right? And the idea that we have a Seattle-San Francisco matchup where Seattle's favored by 7.5, that looks too good to be true.
A lot of movement with the Bills and the Broncos, too.
Yeah, yep. So, like, that's something we will also quiz PJ on. Like, why is that line moving for the Bills and Broncos, where the Bills were a 1-point underdog? They're a 1-point underdog now, but they were favored by 1 point this time yesterday. Why is more money flying in on Denver? We'll talk to PJ Glasser coming up in the 4 o'clock hour today.
You can stop by and join us here in the sports bar anytime at 866-4326. And also joining us later on, last call, Ryan Smith. The Rochester Nighthawks will be stopping by.
Good on the Nighthawks to actually move the game time Saturday night. I mean, this was Ernie Clement going to come out and, like, have that kind of moment with the Rochester fan base. And then, I think pushing it back to 8 o'clock, if you wanted to go to the game, you get back down there in time. And actually, a friend of the show, Brittany, actually called over the Nighthawk office and said, what is the latest, which I didn't even know this. Like, if you wanted to go to the game late. You ever done that, Danger?
I don't like going to things late.
No, I'm not a fan either, but
I like committing and being there on time.
But if you wanted to do this is before the game time was actually pushed back, they will let you in until halftime. And then after that, you're out of luck.
Okay. Well, Brittany doing the Lord's work, checking on that for all of us.
I probably shouldn't say this. There was one time where just the executive producer and I were out to dinner, and then we were down here, and I'm like, hey, you want to go over to the ball game? Sure. Well, okay. It's like in the fifth. I'm like, I bet you can get in. He just waved us in.
Oh, really?
I don't know if, like, the guards were just like, whatever, but probably You
didn't have a ticket, just go on in?
Yeah.
Wow. And there you have it. The secret, the life hack, the G. Battaglia sports life hack of the day.
You want to get 4 innings of baseball.
Just show up late. Show up late at Innovative Field.
What's the secret to say yes and show up early? No. Just show up late.
Are you sure they didn't think you were homeless? I don't know. You know, this guy doesn't have money for a ticket. Maybe we should just let him in. I don't know.
Might have just been the executive producer.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
that was what it was. Oh, yeah, we have to let the pretty lady in for free. You, sir, you have to pay double. Full show, fun show. Lots lined up for you here this afternoon in the sports bar. And as I mentioned, you can join us at 866-4FAN if you want to pull up a stool and start talking some Bills and Broncos. There's a lot to discuss. Practice today, as I mentioned at the top, Ed Oliver back on the field, practicing with his teammates, and talking a little bit about his journey back to the fields.
Been long, like you said, setbacks. And when I first got hurt, I was optimistic, and the closer I got to coming back, it kind of started feeling surreal. And then I go to walk through the day and have my window open is just a long time coming in. I kind of just stayed the course even when the tunnel seemed dark and the light at the end of the tunnel seemed so far away. And rehab was kind of stagnant at one point. You know, you really couldn't do much. My arm was in a cast. And I don't know, I just came a long way, but it seemed like the days seemed long, but the weeks kind of, when I look back, they really went fast. I feel just better as a human, as a teammate, as everything, that I got to be out there with my guys and got to experience that, because that's really what I found when I wasn't contributing and being a part of, well, I wouldn't say not being a part, but not with around the guys. It kind of had me down a little bit. I was doing my thing and they were winning games, and they were so happy, and I was like, man, I want to be happy with them too. So it's good to get back to that.
So it was the injured bicep in Carolina, and then right before Christmas, he needed to get the meniscus cleaned up, and that was disclosed after the Philadelphia game. So here we are. The MO, the Bills, if Ed Oliver's talking today, he's playing.
Yeah.
He's playing. There's no doubt.
They're putting out footage of him at practice as well. So it's a hype move, right? Like, get hyped. Ed Oliver's going to be out there. Don't know how much, but you can anticipate that they'll activate him from IR.
Well, is there something to be said that, okay, yes, he's had 2 injuries, but otherwise, in terms of just the wear and tear, could he be more, actually, in a strange way, actually be more fresh to be out there in a way, maybe, at this point?
Yeah, without the pounding of a game every single week, sure. I just, the injuries and coming back from the injuries are always tricky because you run the risk of either re-injuring or overcompensating and then injuring another body part. And that's always the fear I have with somebody rushing back or coming back before they're 100% ready. But if the doctors deem him to be ready to go, then maybe we'll get the chance to see Ed Oliver on Sunday, and I think he would be a welcome sight for Bills fans.
Yeah, Denver's offensive line allowing just the third lowest quarterback pressure rate, 27.7. So if Bo Nix gets a little bit in his face, and we've seen Sean McDermott get a little more aggressive, certainly, by sending extra guys here. You just don't know what you're going to get out of McDermott's and Babbage this week, but good to have Ed Oliver and get that rotation going at D tackle.
Another guy that the media was granted access to, or speaking to the media after practice today, also had his practice window open. That's wide receiver Curtis Samuel.
I'm excited, just taking it one day at a time and just trying to catch up with the game.
Is it a level of urgency this week considering what else is going on a receiver with, guys dropping the last couple of weeks, 3 guys going out? Is there more of a desire to get ready as fast as possible for you?
I mean, it's more of a desire because, if you lose, you go home, and, of course, we don't want that. So it's about getting myself in the right mental space, get my body right, prepared to just be great at practice.
How do you get ready in a spot like this in the season where there's not a lot of hitting, there's a lot of walkthrough practices? How do you know if you're ready to go?
I've been playing for a long time. I know my body. As long as I'm ready, able to fly around without thinking about any injuries and any stuff I'm dealing with, I think I'm pretty much ready to go. The contact is going to be contact. You could never prepare for that. So, we're going to see how it goes.
Is this different? You've been working yourself getting ready, but now they open up the window and you're with your teammates.
Yeah.
And that way, is that any different in terms of knowing if your body is ready to go for a game?
Yeah, I get to be out there. That's the most exciting thing. It's just practice is about pushing yourself, getting yourself in the right mind frame, great preparation. So when it comes to Saturday, we could say that you don't have to worry about anything. You put in the work already.
How likely are you to play Saturday, you think?
We're going to take it one day at a time and, just try to get myself in the right headspace.
There you go, Curtis Samuel talking to, that's a Rochester press conference right there. That's Thad Brown. That's Mike Catalana asking the questions.
Yeah, and same thing with Oliver if he's out there talking. And, well, beyond that, they actually kind of need him. But I thought Nate Geary brought up the interesting point yesterday that, hey, the IR, it's actually kind of like a quasi-practice squad, the way the Bills have developed this. So I don't have any doubt that Curtis Samuel is ready to go. I just don't know the level of trust that Josh Allen would have in Curtis Samuel at this point. And I don't know if Joe Brady's got something cooked up in his mind, because how many times have you seen the end around to Curtis Samuel, whatever the gadget play is that just doesn't work? I wouldn't risk any of that. Just get him out there, and if he can get you, I don't know, 2 receptions for 35 yards, that's a good afternoon for Curtis Samuel as a 4 or 5 wide receiver.
Don't worry, Josh Allen is not worried about the wide receiver room. We had the chance to hear from him as well.
Not an ideal situation, but I still trust that room completely. Whoever we bring up needs to step up, and, we have full confidence that they will. This week is going to be very important throughout the practices that we have, of making sure that we're getting on the same page with timing and just understanding where guys can go, try to utilize their strengths to the best of our abilities. But I got no doubt that whoever's going to be up in those spots is going to do their job, step up, and then help us win or help us make plays.
It's so funny, man. We talked about McDermott and whether or not McDermott would survive if they lost, or the national narrative that people are curious, like, would McDermott go if this doesn't work? When he was hired to be one voice, right? They wanted one voice. They wanted one singular voice for the team. And if McDermott has succeeded at anything, that's it. Because a guy like Josh Allen is saying exactly what you would hear Sean McDermott say. You're hearing every guy basically say and parrot what you would hear the head coach say. The one voice is McDermott, and it extends through that locker room.
Well, Allen's different in that way. It's his rookie season, and he has one of the best defenders in the NFL at that time call him trash.
Yeah.
That was Jalen Ramsey then in Jacksonville, and Ramsey was really, really good. You could make an argument at the time was the best corner in the game, and Allen beats Jalen Ramsey with some guy named Robert Foster.
Yeah.
And it would have been so easy just to smile or just take a little, like, oh, wow, that is maturity. We took the W. You can do that stuff in private. You can do it to the team, your teammates, but there is no reason other than for your own self-pleasure to do something like that. And Allen, I don't know if there's been a time where he's kind of slipped up with the media and said something that really he shouldn't have, which, hey, haven't we all, said something we wish we could have had back? Allen's very good in that regard. He knows the cameras are on, and you could fault him for saying, boy, say something interesting. I don't know. Like at this point here, you don't need to win the press conference. You need to win Saturday afternoon at 4:30.
Yeah. So, and by the way, on those injuries to Josh Allen, guy is tough as nails. His line knows it. It was a rare David Edwards soundbite. David Edwards on the toughness of Josh Allen.
I think that Josh is one of those guys that the way he plays and the beating that he may or may not take, he always shows the same look. He is always the same guy, and that's why we love him and we play so hard for him, just because he puts it all out there for, this team, these coaches, this city, and he's the toughest guy that I've ever met. And whether or not he's feeling good or not, he's going to give it everything he has, and that's why we love him.
No, I feel good. I feel great. I mean, my brain is scrambled. My hand is broken. My knee is probably sprained. And what else? What else do I have? My foot. Yeah, I can't really walk. But I'm all right. No, I'll be good. I'm good. Guy's tough. And, hey, maybe you don't need him on Saturday to make as many plays with his legs. I'm sure there'll be some design runs for Josh Allen, but man, I keep going back to James Cook. Make this a James Cook game.
For all the talk about the injuries, and that's something that certainly is worth discussing, the offensive line is doing all right. I'm sure they don't feel great, Danger, but to have everybody intact, left to right, and this is a different challenge because you've got Benito out there. You've got some guys that like to get after the quarterback, certainly. But as terms of a run defense, it's not Jacksonville. There's going to be opportunities there. Again, this is very simple, right? If James Cook can get it going and not put the ball on the turf, if the Bills don't do that, if they're not giving Denver the extra possession here or there, they did it last week with the kickoff and got away with it. So to me, it's just very simple in this regard. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be a blowout. I'm not ready to pick this game yet, though, Danger.
No. I'm not either. We'll wait until Friday morning. Tommy tells it like it is on CMF, and we'll do that then. Updates on the coaching carousel for those keeping score at home. Of course, the Tomlin news yesterday, sending shockwaves throughout the NFL. All indications are, as of right now, that Tomlin won't coach next season. Not really a surprise there. If somebody wanted to talk to Tomlin or wanted to hire Tomlin, if he were interested in coaching, the Steelers still have his rights for 2 years, so you're talking about a team that would have to trade for Mike Tomlin, which I don't think is going to happen. All indications are we'll see Tomlin on TV, whether it's in the booth or in a studio, coming up as soon as next season.
Who was the last coach to get traded? It was Gruden, right? I think that was the last one where the team had to give compensation.
Yeah, that might be right. The Titans interviewing Arthur Smith and Mike McDaniel today. And the Cardinals also requesting an interview with Arthur Smith. So now with Tomlin out, Arthur Smith free to roam once again. I mean, some of the names that we hear during the coaching cycle, you hear the name and you're like, oh God, no, not Antonio Pierce, not Arthur Smith. No, didn't we learn? Didn't we see enough the first time around? What's different this time? How's it going to change?
I think Pierce, maybe that's just kind of you're being nice to a former player, right? It was the Giants that picked that up. The Arthur Smith one, I'm perplexed. Like the Arthur Smith, wait a second here. I think the best thing I could say about Arthur Smith is he is literally a billionaire, and he's working in a profession that, okay, how many hours a week are you working? Every waking hour, basically.
Doesn't really need it. The big fish is interviewing with the Giants today. That's John Harbaugh. And my Giant fan friends are insisting that the Giants should not let him leave without a signed contract.
I think that's accurate. Like, if you talk to any college recruiter, doesn't matter the sport, right? Their thing is they don't want to be the first one in. They want to be the last one in. For whatever reason, the psychology with that, like you're trying to measure up, and maybe by that point, the student knows exactly what they want, and well, regardless, being the first one in, I don't know. Like Harbaugh, if he says, I'm not going to listen to any other offers, maybe that's not the right thing. Harbaugh to the Giants feels right. Like us as a fan base that doesn't care here in Western New York, where would you like to see him go? Honestly, if he stays in the AFC, I don't care. But I have Giant friends that, hey, you've had some clowns there. Like Joe Judge.
Yeah.
Who was the guy with the greasy hair?
Ben McAdoo.
Yes. That guy.
Just creepy looking, pervy looking dude. This slick back hair and weird mustache.
Yeah, like, can you get somebody else? This is the organization that brought you Tom Coughlin and Dan Reeves and, of course, the great Bill Parcells. And you've had these guys since then? Yeah, give him Harbaugh.
Yeah. I still like Atlanta. I don't know why, but I guess it does matter, like, what does Harbaugh want? And what team can give him is close to what he's looking for. Maybe it's the Giants, but you're taking a job with a lame duck GM. Unless Harbaugh and Joe Shane hit it off and they have a blood pact together, I really don't know. But that'll be interesting to continue to monitor, at least first step out of the way, the interview today with the Giants and John Harbaugh. And then a note from a player retirement. And you know what? We're fantasy football players here. This is a guy that probably helped you through his career, win a week or two, maybe even a championship, announcing his retirement, his final season here with the Steelers, their season over. Adam Thielen, after 12 seasons with the Vikings, the Panthers, and the Steelers, announces his retirement. Do you know Adam Thielen leaves the NFL as the highest earning undrafted free agent in NFL history?
Hit the piano tones, Danger, on that. I did not know that. He made more money than Kurt Warner?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. It's like, if you had to say, like, Kurt Warner would be the guy that I guess, yeah.
Number 2 on the list, Shaq Barrett. Career earnings of, so Thielen just under $90 million over his career. Shaq Barrett, number 2 on the list, $82.6 million. Number 3 on the list, a quarterback, not Kurt Warner.
No.
Kurt Warner's not in the top 10.
I just cheated. Yeah. Go ahead, though. I had to. I'm like, how can it not be Warner?
It's Romo. Romo was 3.
Wow.
Romo was 3, undrafted out of Eastern Illinois, $74.5 million over his career. And now when you hear the numbers that are getting thrown around and you see these figures, especially for Romo, when Romo was getting paid, we're like, oh my God, that's a gaudy con. $74.5 million over his career. And now what quarterbacks are making, just in a different stratosphere.
Spot Trek had Kurt Warner's NFL earnings at 58.7. That's shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Thielen hangs it up. Pretty good career from the Detroit Lakes, Minnesota native. Just under $90 million.
I thought that was kind of cool, though. Like, when it happened, I'm like, okay, that's kind of it, where it was a 4th and 2 or something like that, and Thielen just runs the square out to the sideline, beats his guy to the stick. I'm thinking, okay, that's the way he goes out and ends up being.
We'll get to Matt Perino covering the Buffalo Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard. He joins us next. You can join us this afternoon anytime on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
Ed Oliver back on the practice field today as the Bills, of course, have this short week. Oliver on whether or not he plays on Saturday.
We'll see. I just started walking through today, so we'll see. I'm optimistic. I'm excited, but I don't know yet. So everything good. My practice window open. I'm open to go to practice. I'm contact everything. I'm ready to go.
Bills and Broncos. The betting line has shifted on this game. The Bills now a 1-point underdog for this game. Scheduled to talk to Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, coming up next year in the Sports Bar. Talking tonight here in the Flower City as the Amherst are back home taking on Syracuse. Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks with the call. The Amherst coming off that wild 6-5 win Sunday in Belleville. Sabres hockey tonight. The 20-year reunion of that Sabres team that made it to the conference final. Philadelphia, the opponent. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-4326. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
It's funny. Some of you listening may be experiencing a little outage, a service issue with Verizon. Not affecting everybody, but certainly affecting a lot of people.
Thankfully not Matt Perino, or either that or Matt Perino went to a payphone. Matt, how are you
got
today?
our smoke signals that we were sending from the Finger Lakes region towards Orchard Park. How are you, bud?
Good, man. How are you?
We're hanging in there.
Yeah, Matt, where do you begin on this injury report? Like Ed Oliver talking to reporters today, what's the sense you got after hearing from the big guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great at practice, but I do still think there's probably a ways to go for him to be that piece. I mean, they're going to probably have 4 active defensive tackles to be 100% sure that he can handle the load, especially on the road at elevation. It's going to be a lot, I think, up against him being able to go this week. He's optimistic, which I think giving him a chance, I think, is the most exciting part of it for fans. He did say one thing that I thought was really interesting, in that he feels so fresh, and that's something that a lot of guys this time of year can't say. The only thing that would probably be holding him back is if he has any inability to consistently drive. I mean, he had a cleanup on the knee a couple weeks ago. You still wonder where he's at with the bicep. So I just think it's going to probably be something that they're going to have to test all the way up until Saturday. And the other part of this, guys, is like they're going to probably need to elevate McCole Hardman, and they've been elevating Andre Jones as that 4th defensive end. If they do those two things, probably going to activate DeMar Hamlet, I would imagine, off injured reserve. It seems like he's trending in the right direction. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the starter next to Cole Bishop on Saturday. There's so many different parts to this that it's like a big puzzle that you got to try to fit all the different pieces. And if there's any questions about how much Ed Oliver can play and how big of a part of the rotation he can be, that will maybe be something that would limit him coming back this week.
I want to ask you about the wide receivers, Matt, but you mentioned Hamlin, and we saw Poyer go out, and we have a feeling that when we saw Hancock go in, our feeling is that if it would be Hamlin, if it would be DeMar Hamlin, it would be because of the trust and his familiarity with the system. But I wanted to get your take on Hancock, because a rookie didn't have a great game against Jacksonville, but also somebody that you have a sense they would like to develop. It would be like found money if you can get Hancock to be somebody regularly out there with Bishop.
Yeah, and I think it's a little unfair to a rookie player who has played a role at safety this year. I mean, he was splitting time early on with Jordan Poyer before Poyer basically took over most of that job, and he got to focus back on special teams. To get thrown out there in a wild card game against that offense, not getting all the practice reps all week. I don't want to make excuses for the kid, but I think that's a tough spot to be put in. So maybe being a little bit out of your depths in that moment, I wasn't surprised by that. I would like to see, if they do decide to go with Hancock, how he's able to perform on a week's worth of reps. But I just know how much this regime relies on what they know and the guys that they know can do the job. And that's why I'd probably tend to guess DeMar Hamlin, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how they play this out. The one thing that's out there that I think would probably be the best option would be Cam Lewis, who I think if you were ranking all those guys in terms of playmaking ability and who's played the best at that spot when he's been in there, it's probably been Lewis, but they value him so much in the dime role that I think that playing one of those other guys at that spot and keeping him where he is has a lot of value too.
Yeah, we're talking to Matt Perino, Shout Podcast, Syracuse Post Standard, giving us a few of his valuable minutes here on a Wednesday. Matt, the wide receiver question, before I ask you who should play at 4 or 5, like your thoughts on what now we know Shaver's accomplished on Sunday. That is going to go in Bill's lore for sure. Are we thinking it's going to be Hardman and Samuel as receivers 4 and 5, or is there another option perhaps we're not seeing at the wide receiver position right now?
Yeah, I definitely think Hardman. Samuel is trending in a good direction, and we know that, I also wonder how much the Bills haven't used, Sean hasn't said this. I'm just kind of, reading the tea leaves a little bit with how they've navigated some of these injuries. Like Curtis Samuel was it felt like he was on the injury report for something different every single week. And then he pops up late November with another injury and he just goes on injured reserve and we kind of don't see him for a few weeks. Almost like, hey, it hasn't been working out well. Take some time away, get your body right, focus on the rehab, and then we'll see what's going to happen down the stretch. And, oh, by the way, guys go down, and now he's getting vaulted back into potentially a prominent role on Sunday, or Saturday. The thing with him, though, is this has been his story. This has been his entire arc with the Bills, is like these starts and stops, these one-off games where he's shown sparks of really intriguing play, and it just hasn't been something that's been sustainable. But, luckily for the Bills, they don't need sustainability right now. They need somebody that can show up for a game and make some plays. And this is a guy that made a play in the game against the Denver Broncos last year where the Bills really looked good offensively, running the ball. I thought they were really solid in the passing game, a lot like their Jacksonville effort last week, just really efficient, making some big explosives, but not doing anything crazy, taking care of the ball. I think Samuel will be valuable in that department. And then if Hardman is up, I'd fully anticipate them trying to use him in the return role again and see if you can't add a little juice as a punt returner. Because the Broncos have an offense that at times this season it has been a slog to try to get to have drives end in points. And so if you're going to get the punting unit on the field, I think getting Hardman back in a role where, sure, he can contribute as a receiver, but also that to me is where I think they like him the best. Now you get him back out in that role, and that could be an explosive possibility for the Bills as well.
Not that anything is going to change based on what you say, but how do you think Josh Allen is feeling right about now physically?
I asked him yesterday, where does your tough gene come from? Because this is just not normal. How many injuries this guy has had. It's funny to look at the injury report this week and have it listed as a finger, a knee, a foot. Earlier in the season he had a broken nose, I think, or at least a nose injury, whatever the severity of that is. It's unbelievable. We say tongue in cheek, these superhero, these superhuman efforts that he has in games, but he really appears to be superhuman. He said, you just kind of sat back and was like, well, I'm a country boy at the end of the day. And when I was growing up, if my parents told me for whatever reason, if I was getting in trouble at school or whatever, that I was going to be able to play in a game, I did anything that I could to make sure I didn't miss that game. And he just needs to be out there. And so I think that's a mentality. I definitely don't think he's 100%, but I also think he had that game last week where I thought it played as perfect of a road playoff game as you could play. And I had questions about how healthy he was then. That foot injury just didn't magically heal itself. He's been playing through it. So I just think it's going to be one of those things where his toughness level, it's just unquestionably higher than anything I've seen at the position.
And Matt, I'd have to assume, right, guys in the locker room everybody knows what everybody is dealing with, right? And how far would that go that, okay, I'm dealing with this, but my gosh, our quarterback's dealing with all this other stuff here?
Yeah, I think that's probably at play. Like, there's no excuse making on this team. And you mentioned the Shavers piece to what he did on Sunday. Deion Dawkins actually just said a few minutes ago that, like, he's not – the most impressive part about it is he's not up in the building in the days that followed the news talking about, look what I did out there on a broken on a torn ACL, and I was on one leg. Like, he's not spouting that off. That was just what he wanted to do. That's just an element of his toughness. And I think that permeates a lot through this team. And listen, you can even say what you want about Curtis Samuel, but this is a guy that's been chronically hurt in the NFL. Like, if you go back and chronicle his years in Washington and his years in Carolina, it is the same story over and over and over again. You'd have to guess that it's been super frustrating for him as a player to kind of have to go through this time in and time out. But he's back and he's trying to play and help his team, and I think that's another element of that.
We're learning more and more about Brandon Cooks as well, who was clutch on Sunday in Jacksonville. Talk a little bit about how he's kind of integrated into this team and his important role here for Josh Allen, for this offense as a field stretcher.
I wonder if there's been no better influence on Keon Coleman than Brandon Cooks getting in here.
Interesting.
And, Amari Cooper was, I think, really good for Keon last year as a rookie. But obviously he's fallen into some troubling habits in year two, and habits that were present as a rookie, but something that hasn't been figured out. And from everybody that you talked to over the last couple of weeks, Keon's professionalism has seen an uptick. And, Josh said it, Sean said it, and they're going to need him. And Cooks is a guy that he doesn't have to tell you. You can just see it. Like, we're only able to see a very little amount of the interactions in there and like what these guys are doing. We're in there for 50 minutes after practice, 10 minutes before, and that's only on some of the days. Like, there's different rules for each day for how much we're able to see. And I'm sitting there at Josh Allen's press conference yesterday, and Brandon Cooks' practice ends. He's on the jugs machine for 5 minutes. Then he goes to the middle of the field and he's doing routes versus air, or he's working with a young receiver or a DB and going over his footwork. Then he's waiting to get to the podium and he's standing off to the side and he has a tennis ball and he's throwing it off of the side wall and then popping his head up and tracking it and catching it. It's like the guy is never just standing there. He's always doing something when he's in the building. And I think for a young receiver like Keon Coleman, who's had the struggles, the documented struggle that he has, to be able to have that kind of influence on you, it means a lot. And, I do think I've been critical of Keon, and I think he deserves some of the criticism. You're a professional football player, all those things that go into it. But I do think sometimes when you're 21, 22 years old, there's different ways to learn things, and people learn at different speeds. And I think that you saw that play last week. What a story it would be for Keon Coleman, who's had all this turmoil in his second season, if he were to somehow be a difference maker on Saturday. And even if it's not, Brandon Cooks had a direct role in that, I just from my observation tower on the outside looking in, it feels like he's had an immense impact on the people in the building.
A few more minutes with Matt Perino, Shop Podcast, also Syracuse Post-Standard. Matt, you were on the beat when Tre'Davious White was an all-pro, 2019-2020, injuries, trips to other teams, coming back, and we thought, okay, he could add some depth. Is he all the way back? Or if not, just kind of your thoughts on what you've seen here, not just in that win over Jacksonville, but certainly down the stretch that the Bills have a legit number 2 corner now.
See, that's the thing. So he's all the way back to being what I think he was before that last injury. Like, if you go back to 2019, that was like all pro CB1 Trey. He wasn't that after that first injury. And to be honest with you go back to late 2020, he didn't even really look like that guy before the injury. Like, that 2019 was the really big season, and there was a little bit of a fall off. And so I think he's kind of been working his way back to what that was. And I think the idea was he'd probably never get there. But what I think he is now is maybe one of the best cornerback twos in the NFL. And now we got to start talking about, what does the future look like for Tre'Davious White in Buffalo? Is it a 2-year deal to be the number 2 corner on this team and continue this mentorship of a Maxwell Hairston? He's been that good. He's been that consistently impactful. I mean, the playmaking on Sunday was, if they don't have Tre'Davious White in that game, and I know everybody was so panicked about not having Max Hairston, and the irony of it is I don't think they win that game without Trey White and him being on the field the whole time and making game-changing plays. So I think he's all the way back to whatever version of Trey you thought possible at this stage in his career. I'd make the argument that he's probably surpassed that. And it's such a cool story, and I'm admittedly, he's probably my favorite player that I've ever covered in any sport, in any job that I've had at every level, because he's just a genuine guy. And the interesting part of his story is he went 2 years before he left, and we probably talked to him in the media twice in 2 years. He just refused interviews, and he was having struggles with his confidence, and just getting in front of the camera, it didn't work. And a lot of players, that would be an issue. There would be fines. There would, the reporters would have to report that to the Pro Football Writers Association. And it never happened because he wanted to. And I just don't think that for whatever reason, it wasn't working out for him. And even through that, the kindness that he had about it, it's very rare. And I just think that he's somebody that embodies their culture, the city of Buffalo. I mean, he has a special connection with the fans too. It's been a really fun story to tell this season.
I can't believe we've gone this long and we haven't brought up what I think might be the biggest factor in Saturday's game. Matt Prater revenge game, Perino. I mean, do we think anything of Matt Prater after he showed up on Sunday and delivered from 50 and from 47 and hit all of his extra points? Is this a non-story, or is he still dealing with the injuries?
He was full today, and so I think he's about as healthy as he's going to be at this point. Right. And, yeah, I mean, I think he's got some of that old man strength, right? Being able to go and put up the 50-yarder, and we'll see. He's obviously used to kicking out there and probably has all of the, whatever intricacies go into that. I actually haven't talked to him this week. I'd be interested to see if it is much different kicking out there. But I think he's just a guy that no matter what, Sean trusts. And that's really important with your kicker. I'd even argue that this version of Prater with the injury, Sean trusts more than maybe even Bass at times. Maybe not at the height of Bass, but in these last couple of years where it's kind of been a little bit up and down for him, it feels like they have a kicker, and that's what went into the decision to go into this game last week with him. Now, it's going to be could have reached 20 degrees on Saturday night in Denver. So one of the things that Prater said was that in week 18, when he was kicking, as the game went on, it's starting to tighten up. And so that's one of the things you definitely worry about. But he's a veteran, man. I think he's kind of got the mindset. He's got a couple of games left. In a playoff game scenario, I'd imagine he'd just tough it out.
Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard Shout Podcast. Busy week because everything's kind of tightened us up here with the Saturday kickoff. So, Matt, lay this out where we can get more of the content this week.
Yeah, we'll have a whole number of shows starting here in the next hour or so. We'll be live with everything from One Bills Drive from the week. I head down to Denver tomorrow. We got Bills Kickoff live every single day for the rest of the week. Tonight, Thursday night, Friday night, and then Saturday, usual time at 11 a.m. Eastern time. You could watch that in Rochester on the CBS affiliate there. And then we'll have you covered from Denver. Big game this week.
Big James Cook game. What do you think?
Yeah, he went for 120 and a touchdown last year in the playoff game against Denver, and they're a good run defense. But I think the Bills, could get really creative with how they deploy their personnel. That's one little thing that we're not talking about enough that I think is something that could pop up is you have Shavers and Gabe Davis who go down, who are your regular, in the run game enforcers on the boundary, do the Bills really lean into their heavy packages and maybe even go 13 at some point in this game with Alec Anderson as an extra tight end or blocker? Like, they haven't gone away from that. And that might be something that if you go back and watch in that game last year against Denver, really helped them. And so I think everything's on the table. I think there's a lot of creativity that Joe Brady could try to use to deploy the passing game, the weapons, all that kind of stuff. But I also think, you have Brandon Cooks, you have Dalton Kincaid. In the passing game, those are the two most important elements at this stage. And then Cook as well. The one downer is Ty Johnson is a problem not having him. Like, that's something that makes things a little bit more complicated. You have to have James Cook on the field more, which I'm not necessarily opposed to, but some of the job responsibility is Ty Johnson. There's nobody really on the roster to take those. Ray Davis is a developing pass blocker. I don't know if they have the kind of trust in him that they have in Ty. And Ty just has a chemistry with Allen. Like in the passing game, he was really good in Denver last year. So that's something to watch. My sense after talking to Ty Johnson yesterday is that it's not looking good that he'll be able to play this week. He's a DNP 2 days in a row, high ankle sprain, walking around in a boot pregame and then having a brace on it during the game. It's definitely something that those take some time to heal. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see and that's another thing. If Ty Johnson can't go, that makes the numbers game really interesting from the practice squad elevations. Like, are you going to have to sign somebody again because you need those two elevations for two different positions? So there's going to be, I think that this is going to be another late in the week merry-go-round of roster moves to try to get this roster to the right place before Saturday.
I got to sneak one more in, Matt, if you forgive me. You're Denver. How are you employing Patrick Surtain? Because normally he plays on the outside, but on Christmas night he was lined up against Kelsey, and I'm wondering, okay, do you line him up against Kincaid and try to erase him, or are you trying to take out Shakir? Like, how do you game with Surtain and this Broncos secondary?
It's a good question. I'd have to. I went back and did watch the game, but I wasn't really focused too much on if Surtain was playing a specific receiver over and over again. And whatever they did last time, they're probably going to do it differently this time because it didn't work against them a year ago. And it's pretty much the same defense. I mean, this is Vance Joseph, a lot of the same personnel. I don't think that it's very beneficial to the Broncos to try to take out Brandon Cooks because I feel like the Bills, they don't employ, as important as he is, and even Kincaid, they're not super. There's no one person that's high enough on the target share list that you're concerning yourself about it. So I think they're going to probably play their usual defense, whatever that entails. And if it means him traveling with somebody, maybe they have him travel with Keon Coleman or maybe they have him travel with Brandon Cooks. But either one that they decide, I would imagine the Bills have a plan for how to exploit. Riley Moss is somebody that at times has been really susceptible in coverage. I know reading the Broncos beat throughout the season, and he's typically in the crosshairs amongst their fans, even though that they've been so good this year. The thing about this week that's been so weird, I mean, obviously I'm a reporter, and the exchange that Peyton had with the reporter, I think it was yesterday or today, is just so typical Peyton. Like he comes off as a real jerk. But I did see one. So of course, me bringing this up about Peyton is you're probably listening and be like, of course, the reporter is saying stuff about Sean Payton. But he had a clip where he was talking about in detail, instructing how the fans need to come out and when specifically they need to get loud when the Bills have the ball.
I have that clip right here. This is 27 seconds, Sean Payton on the Denver crowd.
Yeah, absolutely they can. We got to I think, I keep saying this, for years we were conditioned to raise the noise level when they broke the huddle. The noise level needs to be loudest when they enter the huddle. And then can you do that? Hey, can we do that collectively for 120? No, I just need it for half the snaps in the game, right? So say 65 snaps, 10 seconds. That's a huge advantage.
Guys, I have never heard a coach literally have to implore his fan base, because you got to figure Sean Payton probably just came from a film session watching Josh Allen clips, right? And he comes out and to the podium, he's like, please, for the love of God, when this guy has the ball, don't let him hear or say or do anything. I don't know. It just felt really panicky, and I don't know. I just think that Sean Payton's kind of a loser for multiple reasons.
Oh, Matt, great stuff. Appreciate it. Safe travels off to Denver. We'll catch up next week.
All right, boys. Take care.
Thanks, Matt.
Matt Prater, Syracuse.com.
Matt Prater.
Matt Prater, the kicker,
Perino,
in front of me as well. Matt Perino covering the Bills at Syracuse.com, the Syracuse Post-Standard.
So I wish I could play it for you on my computer here, Danger, but the clip that Peyton, that Matt is alluding to. So Drake Greenlaw just asking him, the reporter asking him about Greenlaw's, him coming back and his ability to attack downhill in the running game, and Peyton's response, you want him to attack downhill. Like, what do you know about attacking downhill?
This is just completely dismissing the question because it came from a reporter who didn't play football.
Yeah.
Wow. What a jerk. Yeah, he's a jerk.
Yeah.
Look, it's well documented. You don't even have to dig to know what a jerk he is.
Well,
and as much as I loved how he dealt with Russ when he had Russell Wilson, he needs to worry more about winning football games and less about kissing babies and Russell Inc. I love that, but he is also the architect behind Kill Gore's head. And we want him sideways. And, he and Greg, scheming the bounty gate. He's a bad guy. He's just a bad guy.
Well, when he took over, how condescending he was to Nathaniel Hackett. Do you remember?
Just buried him.
Legitimately, this is his quote. When it takes over the job, and normally, hey, we're looking forward to everything. His quote on Nathaniel Hackett, the former head coach, did one of the worst coaching jobs in history.
Just buried him. Absolutely buried him. And he wasn't, I don't know that he was wrong. I really don't think he was wrong. It was horrible with Hackett there.
True, but you have the Jets on the schedule week 4. What are you trying to prove? That and it ended up not mattering, of course.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to that. And Matt's right. That's an interesting point. The fact that you have a coach begging the fans, instructing the fans on when to be the loudest.
Make sure you're loud when they're in the huddle. Okay. Yep.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll get on that for you. Make sure you don't lose 31-7 this year. How about that?
Where do we come down on the Denver Broncos? The pass is incomplete.
Oh, they still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a little annoying.
Yeah. It's weak. Do we have any Denver insiders joining us this week?
We do. We have we had him on last year. Cody Rourke from the Locked On and Mile High Sports will be joining us on Friday.
Fantastic. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. Our betting expert, PJ Glass, are going to share his favorite plays from divisional round and also from the college football championship coming up here on Monday night. We'll get you some winners next on The Fan Rochester.
HD2 Rochester and streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Ed Oliver on the practice field today. A good sign, although it is too soon to tell for sure if he's going to give it a go on Saturday. The Bills officially placing Tyrell Shavers on IR this afternoon. One Bill that is playing at a high level is Tre'Davious White.
I just think, I'm in a position and I'm just going for it. Like I said earlier last week, a lot of guys have been in this game for years and, we know where the weaknesses and the strengths are, but we just attacking it. We just towing that line, being able to make the plays when our numbers is called, and that's what guys are doing right now.
We'll look to get some winners here in the divisional round as well as the College Football National Championship. TJ Glass, your host on BetMGM, joining us later this hour. Amherst hockey tonight. Rochester hosting Syracuse. Our coverage will begin at 7. The Sabres hosting Philadelphia. Sabres hockey can be heard tonight on 96.5 WCMF beginning at 7:30. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
So we get so used to not hearing or seeing Terry Pegula speak in public that when you see an NFL owner holding a press conference, it's kind of jarring. Like, oh, these aliens do emerge from time to time.
They can't require themselves to do it, but yesterday it was Biscotti in Baltimore, and the guy looks like he just stepped out of the tanning bed there.
He looks like he's on a path to Jim Irsay. He kind of has. I'm sure he's not like Irsay, but he looks just like he's on the path to Jim Irsay. That's really the best way I could say it. He just looks like a guy who loves to live life.
Yeah, got the veneered teeth, the smile, everything.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what if Luke makes a kick? We would have made the move the following week. I'm Steve Biscotti. Hey,
of course he talks like that, Gino. Cause you die.
And today in Pittsburgh, it's Rooney getting out there, and Steelers seem to be staying in the let's be 500 and keep our fingers crossed bubble because he's shot down the idea that maybe the Steelers are the prime time to be in rebuild, which I would think until you find the quarterback, maybe you should kind of be looking in that direction.
Nobody's ever going to admit that they're rebuilding. Nobody ever wants to use the R word when it comes to their football team. Even when the Bills knew they were going to have a bad season, they didn't use the term rebuild, right? What was it? We want to win now and win in the future.
Yeah.
You find a way around using that word. And I don't know. I mean, the Steelers' legacy, depending on who they bring in, and really more than anything, who's the quarterback of this team? It's not going to be Rodgers.
Well, that's kind of like we've kind of forgotten about that. That's it for the old guy. Like, okay, you can go off and do your thing, but the world is going to move on. There's another year of quarterbacks that are coming in. Like, which team is ready to say, hey, Aaron Rodgers, you're our starting quarterback? Sure, there'll be debates that, hey, maybe he'll be a bridge quarterback for insert team here. But I think that's it.
You know where this is going. I mean, he's going to end up in Minnesota. He's going to end up in Minnesota competing with J.J. McCarthy. Why not complete the Brett Favre arc? I mean, he went to New York. He's got to go to Minnesota. He's got to go to Minnesota just to stick it to Green Bay, especially after saying all those nice things about Matt LaFleur at the end of the season. No, you go to Minnesota and you compete for a starting job with J.J. McCarthy.
What, when you're watching that Monday night, makes you think that Aaron Rodgers should be the guy there? Like, if you're bringing him in as a backup, I don't want that circus. But sure,
he's not going to play as a backup anymore.
I think he's done. I think that's it.
I think so, too. And you know what? For as much dirt as we wanted to pile on him when he was with the Jets that one year he was healthy, he was respectable this year. His numbers were respectable, and he didn't have a lot to work with. I mean, it's not like the Steelers' backfield is anything to write home about. You're talking about Gainwell and who's the other guy? Why am I blanking on their other running back? That's, I guess that's my point.
Your point.
DK Metcalf is a fine addition, sure, but he was respectable from a stat standpoint. He could have done a lot worse.
Jalen Warren.
Thank you, Gino.
You're welcome. Yeah, and look, he left us Monday night with the patented Rodgers, hey, the pass is incomplete. Looking around at the receiver or whatever. Like, no one assesses blame on the field quite like Aaron Rodgers.
He was angry early on. He was angry from the jump. Like, as soon as things started not going his way, he was pouting about it. For the respectable numbers, that's great, but the guy isn't worth the circus to me. And it would be fitting if his last press conference as a player was that one on Monday night where he basically walked off pissed off and pontificating about where we are as a society when nobody asked him anything about his thoughts on society. But okay, fine. Just go ahead and walk off.
It's going to
be angry.
It's going to get a lot of impressions, Danger. The Aaron Rodgers podcast. Can't wait for that.
Yeah. First question.
Why are you so pissy?
I'm not. Yes, you are. You won't answer my question. Aaron.
Why are you so pissy?
By the way, Harbaugh today interviewing with the Giants. No word on if he's left the facility with a new contract. My Giant fan friends are foaming at the mouth right now. He should not leave without a signed contract. You want to do the Mario Williams to him. You got to lock him in a room, gun to his head. You're not leaving until you sign this deal. You're our next head coach.
It doesn't bode well that the Giants are the first team in. I'll put it that way. Usually, the psychology of that, you don't want to be first. You want to be down the line.
Well, what do you do, though, in that situation? Because every Giant fan wants that guy. He's like the guy that they want. If you wait and you keep interviewing all these slappies, at some point, Giant fan base is going to be like, what are we waiting for? We're going to lose this guy. All it's going to take is somebody to give him everything he wants. And somebody could give him everything he wants.
Stefanski, I think, would be a good consolation prize. You can even make the argument that he might be better for that offense. You brought up the point that, hey, Mike Tomlin, he's going to be TV bound because he's not going to coach anywhere else this year because the Steelers still have him under contract for 2 more years that would necessitate a trade. We brought up, hey, was Gruden the last guy that was traded? No, he wasn't. Thank you, Peter, writing in. Sean Payton, the last coach to be traded.
So I'm trying to remember that. Was that when he got hired by Denver?
Yeah.
Because he was still under contract
He
with
was
the
still
Saints.
under contract with the Saints.
Even though he was doing TV.
He did a TV layover for 1 year, and the Saints were able, net result, to milk a first-round pick out of it.
God.
Yeah.
It's worked out for Denver. Kind of weird. I mean, Seattle's reaped the benefits, right? They got a lot of young talent on that team because of the Russell Wilson trade.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos had very forgettable time with Russ. 2 seasons of very forgettable football. But even with the dead cap money of moving off of Russell Wilson, you got your coach, and now you have your quarterback, and you ended a playoff drought. You're in the playoffs now consecutive years. You won the division this year. Things worked out for Denver. I wonder how much that has to do with Kansas City's demise this year. Now I know the Mahomes injury certainly was the seal, the seal in the coffin, but like what? Because that feels like that's sustainable. What they have in Denver feels sustainable.
Well, I think it's worth kind of reviewing some of these teams, how they got to where they are, and they were showing highlights of the Giants. I'm like, oh. Was the Giants in Denver? A game they should have won. Denver ends up winning 33-32. Remember that whole debacle, missed kick, clock management. It was Brian Daboll at his worst. The Giants just hand that over. There was actually talk, would they fire Brian Daboll once they step off the plane? That is a legit story. Some of these other games, the Colts winning on a last-second play in Week 2, Week 1 against the Titans, that was our survive and advance pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only an 8-pit win. So you look at the Raiders, they only beat by 7. The Commanders on Sunday Night Football with Marcus Mariota. Okay, yeah, they won that game by 1 point. So beat the Chiefs by 3 points. This isn't a team that blows teams out other than Dallas, the one game that Dallas didn't show up.
I'm not overly concerned. Based on what we saw from this roster last year in the playoffs, it's a lot of the same guys, a lot of the same coaches. And in just looking at recent history, What Jacksonville did to Denver at the end of the season was eye-opening. And it is a big reason why a lot of people were thinking that Jacksonville was going to be the team to represent the AFC if they got past Buffalo. You know what? The injuries are a concern. They're problematic. The wide receivers are a concern. The secondary. But Josh Allen right now, even though he's banged up, beat to hell, still the best quarterback left in the field. And you got to feel good about that going into Saturday's game, even though they have a very good defense.
Statistically, this is not on the Bills' favor because the number one seed, usually a really good team, number one seed has the rest. Even it used to be the 1 and 2. Now it's just the 1. So since 2004, the number one seed, by the way, Mike Danger comment incoming, the number one seed has a winning percentage of 69%.
Oh, so that's nice. Do we have too many teams in the postseason? I saw this stat cross my feed. They expanded the postseason.
Funny, like
during the pandemic.
Yeah, like the years the Bills were the 2, I felt like this is just kind of a waste having Miami or Pittsburgh the 1 year. Like, yeah, sure they came up and they played Buffalo tough. You just pat them on the head and send them home. I don't know. Have we had a 7 beat a 2 yet? I don't think we have since they went to this.
The 7 seed since they expanded is 1 and 11.
1 and 11.
Green Bay last year.
And
then they went on to, when they spanked the Cowboys. They embarrassed the Cowboys. That's it. The 7 seed is, I was high on the Chargers. I'm like, yeah, the Chargers can go into New England. Nope.
No.
They were not ready for prime time.
Nope.
They're banged up. They're beat up, and their struggle was just to get to the dance, and they were not ready.
Well, Green Bay, on the other hand, kind of gave you a half a game there in Chicago.
They did. Yeah, I saw that stat. I'm like, oh, maybe there are 2. Maybe it's not going to go backwards now. You're going to have 14 teams in the postseason. But as far as 1 seeds go, I mean, Denver just doesn't scare me as a 1 seed. Does not scare me as a 1 seed. And the most recent thing that makes me less nervous is that loss to Jacksonville. Knowing that Jacksonville did what they did to them and that the Bills did what they did to Jacksonville. I mean, it was tight. They got the win.
I would think that if you're just saying which head coach would have the advantage because McDermott knows Peyton from the old days and Peyton knows, I think McDermott against Bo Nix, Peyton against Josh Allen, or against the Bills defense, I should say. I think McDermott's got the advantage here, Danger.
I think Peyton's a better coach. He's got more experience. He's got more under his belt. But I think Joe Brady is a better offensive coordinator than Vance Joseph is defensive coordinator. I know they've really good defense, right? Really good defense. Never. I don't give any of that credit to Vance Joseph. I do not. And I think that McDermott's defense will find ways to frustrate Bo Nix and force him into some mistakes. Well, it'll be fun. Action coming up here on Saturday afternoon. We got a lot of action on Saturday afternoon between the Sabres, the Bills, and the Amerks. Basically, if you're tuning in this weekend to the Fan Rochester, you're going to hear some of your favorite local sports teams. That's our promise.
Yeah, we're going to be wall to wall.
Our Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, our Sports Bar Betting Insider, PJ Glasser is one of our favorites. Joins us every week to share his favorite plays. We'll get winners for the divisional round. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on there in Baltimore, since PJ is our favorite Baltimorean. And we'll also talk college football championship coming up here on Monday with PJ Glasser next on The Fan.
Well, the news in Buffalo today, Ed Oliver practicing, talking with reporters. Oliver on whether or not he plays on Saturday.
We'll see. I just started walking through today, so we'll see. I'm optimistic. I'm excited, but I don't know yet. So everything good. My practice window open. I'm open to go to practice. I'm contact everything. I'm ready to go.
Pre-game coverage Saturday. Bills and Broncos begins at noon on 96.5 WCMF. Amerks hockey tonight. Rochester hosting Syracuse, looking to make it 2 in a row after that win in Belleville. Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks will be by with the call. Sabres hockey tonight as Buffalo taking on Philadelphia. It's the 20-year anniversary of the team that made it to the conference final. That game you can hear on CMF beginning at 7:30. Oregon quarterback Dante Moore is not coming out in the draft. He's staying at Oregon. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
I like it. We got a Verizon outage. Yeah. Some of you are probably frustrated. It's been all afternoon.
Yeah, our sales director today sent an email saying, "Hey, I think that you can't contact me. You're going to have," which is kind of weird, but then you realize, all right, Verizon and whatever other system you're on. And unfortunately, PJ Glasser's caught up in this, and I can text him because I think he's on a Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But everything else is down for him.
And I'm fairly certain I just sent him an invite to try and do a virtual meeting where maybe we can pull him up and share the audio with you. But I'm not feeling great about that. I don't know that my computer is set up for that. But if he can jump on here, we can give it a go and see if he can hear us and we can hear him. Live radio, fantastic. We want to get PJ's takes on the divisional round.
Well, just like the producer here in the background.
Yeah, right.
Probably should have.
PJ, you can't hear me, can you? Yeah, I'm looking at PJ right now, but I know he can't hear me unless I try this, and maybe this will work. Hang on. PJ, can you hear me now? Is PJ Glasser there? Do we have PJ Glasser? I don't know that we do. I can see PJ's backdrop. It looks fantastic. Can you hear me, PJ? You
Danger,
can.
I got you if you can hear me.
Look at this. All right, so maybe I don't know how well you'll be able to hear Gene because I'm not sure which microphone you're picking us up on, but we've got audio of PJ Glasser, and that's really all that matters. We want to. By the way, I mean, for a guy who's got a virtual setup, the backdrop is very impressive. We've got some good Baltimore/DC memorabilia in the background there for PJ Glasser. Not too ostentatious as you see with some of these guys that show up on ESPN. Congratulations, buddy. How are you, PJ?
I'm doing good, guys. I appreciate you being flexible. I was telling Gene, I've been having issues with my phone all day. One of those days I can't receive any calls. So it was good 10, 15 minutes ago. I saw you guys tried to call. It went right to voicemail. But I'm glad we were able to make it work. I'm good to be here. Good to be here with you guys.
Before we get to the divisional round, the national championship game, and we talked to you after their Harbaugh firing, but now Tomlin is out too. Would you ever entertain a coach swap, PJ? Number one, and part two, like wife swap or something like that. And part two of the question, what has been? Give us a temperature here. What has it been like for the Ravens fan base here the week following the surprise announcement that Harbaugh is out?
So I would do a swap, Gene. And I don't know if you guys saw the comments yesterday from the owner, Steve Bisciotti, talking about it because his press conference was going on while Tomlin resigned. So he was getting that news on the fly. He didn't realize it was happening. And he had talked about it, which was funny. I think Tomlin, it's never going to happen, and I think he's going to take the year off. But I think it makes a lot of sense, kind of a new voice, knowing the AFC North as well as he does, the consistency that his teams always have. And I think a lot of players on the Ravens would respond to him. Now, I don't think it's going to happen. And I think the fan base is very excited because, again, this is the first time that there's been a coaching change in 18 years. The current general manager, Eric DaCosta, has never gone through one of these as a GM. Steve Bisciotti's only ever gone through this twice. So it's kind of new to everybody. And a lot of the comments that he was making yesterday is that I think the Ravens front office is intrigued with guys that have been coaches in the past and it necessarily hasn't worked out, right? So like your Robert Salas, your Mike McDaniels, your Brian Floreses, your Stefanskis. So I still think it's going to end up being Jesse Minter, but listen to some of the stuff that he was talking about yesterday. Maybe they go up. Maybe they end up going in a direction with one of those other guys.
So, okay, which one of those guys, and I keep thinking of Flores, but I also think Flores could end up in Pittsburgh as well. But which one of those guys do you think would be the best match for Lamar, PJ?
Yeah, I think for Lamar, I think it would be Saleh, to be honest with you. I want Jesse Minter to be the head coach because, there's so many parallels from him and Mike Macdonald. And a lot of Ravens fans wanted Macdonald to be the head coach when he was the defensive coordinator after they lost to the Chiefs in the AFC title game. And he was there. And people at that time maybe felt like it was a change. And then they let him go. And watching the success that he's had with the Seahawks, and you look at Jesse Minter, guys, his kind of path has been the exact same. He was a defensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh, just like Macdonald was. Then he became a defensive coordinator with the Chargers, like Macdonald was. So I like Minter because I think he's the closest thing to Mike Macdonald. But as for like the former coach's danger, I kind of like Saleh. I thought Saleh, with the Jets, like you guys would know a lot better than I would, obviously, when he was coaching in that division. But I just felt like when Zach Wilson's your quarterback, like there's not a lot that you can do. And his defenses were always really, really good, but they couldn't get the quarterback right. And they always had problems, winning games. And then obviously Rodgers gets hurt on like the first drive of the series that one year. Now that he would have potentially Lamar as his quarterback, and you have these pieces on defense that I think he could make work. As long as he can hire a good OC, I've always thought that if they go a direction of hiring a former coach, Saleh would be my pick.
Yeah, and PJ, one more, because we have 9 coaching openings in the NFL right now. 9 of them, Danger, right here.
9 times.
There we go. Like PJ, like Baltimore, if they're not the top, they'd be in the top 2. Who would you put up there as the top opening right now for a coaching vacancy?
So I think a lot of people are going to say the Steelers, but I don't really think their job is all that attractive, right? Maybe like the loyalty that their front office and their ownership has to the guy that they hire, but you have no idea what you're going to do at quarterback next season. You have all this money tied to the defense that's aging, and you have the number 20th pick in the draft, and you play in a competitive division when Lamar and Burrow are both healthy. So a lot of people would say Pittsburgh. I don't think it is. I love the Atlanta job. I think Atlanta's got so much talent, the division that they play in. Again, Carolina won it at 8-9 this year. But if you can get a coach that can get the best out of Penix, you got one of the best players in Bijan at running back, terrific weapons on the outside with Pitts and London. The defense is pretty good. I've always thought if Atlanta gets a good coach, I think that's a really desirable job. And then, you're in like not one of the big top markets, and you don't have to deal with all the crazy media like you would if you had to be the new head coach of the Giants or something like that. So I think the Ravens are the top job right now just because you have Lamar in his prime and it's a well-run organization. But outside of them, if I was a coach, I would probably go to the Falcons.
Let's work backwards on the divisional round and start with the last game that we're going to see this weekend, and that would be the Bears hosting the Rams. And both of these teams had to kind of mount their own comebacks late in the wild card round to get to where they are. It's going to be cold in Chicago. I wonder how much that plays into the outcome of this game. PJ, which way are you leaning here in the NFC?
Danger, before I give you my thoughts, can I just ask you, was Saturday night, was that a top 5 moment as a sports fan for you? You think that went over the Packers?
It was great, but it was weird because we had just gone through it week 16, and week 16 felt like the Super Bowl. Like the season could have ended for me as a Bears fan week 16, and I would have been satiated because they ripped out their heart. And then for them to do it again, it wasn't like I was even surprised. I feel like every Bears fan knew they were always in that game. It was exciting. We had a lot of people over to the house. I haven't told this story on the air yet, Gene. I went in to give my family. They were all sitting on the couch in a row. I went in to kind of like lunge, and I gave them all like a hug simultaneously. But my wife was holding this. She drinks like a potion every night that has turmeric in it, and the turmeric got all over the white couch. She was pissed. So completely out of her mind because it stained the couch. But memorable nonetheless, an unbelievable feeling. And yeah, Green Bay sucks. So we're on to the next one.
I mean, what a great win that was for the Bears. And as somebody who bet the Bears in the game, yes. I enjoyed it. I will not be betting them though on Sunday. I like the Rams -3.5. So I told you guys this like towards the end of the regular season. The Bears are what the Commanders were last year, just like this magical story. You bring up the Week 16 game against the Packers. Like that was what the Hail Mary game was for Washington last year. And then Washington, they have the upset at Tampa, then they go on the road and they beat the Lions. But then eventually they just ran into a team that's too good in Philadelphia that obviously ended up winning the Super Bowl. And it's even like the Mets, Gene, right? And I know you're a Mets fan. You think about a couple years ago when Alonso hits that home run against the Brewers and then they beat the Phillies. But then you just run into the Dodgers. So I think when you have these teams like the Bears that I think we all recognize are having a magical season, but really aren't as good as like some of the top teams in the league, I think eventually you just run into one of those teams. It's really, really good. I think the Rams are the best team in football. It is a concern that it's going to be outdoors in Chicago, cold weather, windy, all those kinds of things. But their offense is just really, really good. I don't know how the Bears are going to get stops against that LA offense. So I'll take the Rams -3.5. I think they win the game by probably 10 points or so.
PJ Glasser, your betting expert here on the Fan Rochester, joining us here. Texans and Patriots, PJ. And to me, Mr. Square here, I'm looking at this like, wait a second. Houston, with that defense, you're getting 3 points in the over-under at 41. I just see this as, all right, if C.J. Stroud just hands the ball and doesn't turn the ball over, the Texans should have a good chance of winning this game. That looks too good to be true, taking Houston. How do you view this matchup, Texans on the road getting 3 at New England?
Gene, my exact thoughts. I think this is the hardest game to call this weekend, side and total, because like you, when the game opened up, I thought, all right, maybe it would be like New England -1. I thought maybe it should even be a pick 'em. When I saw we were getting 3 points with Houston,
whoa,
I'm like,
red flag,
missing?
right? Put on the brakes here. Why?
I don't understand. And I mean, we got to see the status of Nico Collins and if he's available for that game against the Patriots. But what's funny is I feel like New England's playing the same kind of team that they did in the Chargers. It's just a better version where the defense is even better than what LA is. And then the offense is a little bit better than what LA's is. And we were getting 3.5 points with the Chargers in that game, a game that, again, if Herbert in the offense just does anything, put any kind of pressure on the Patriots, that game's probably completely different. The one thing about the Texans, though, man, is they have been so good on the road this season in like primetime games. Again, they essentially ended the Chiefs season on Sunday night. Then you go into Pittsburgh when it just looked like it was setting up for one of those Steelers kinds of wins, right? They're getting dominated, but they're forcing all these turnovers. But even then, Houston stuck with it and they ended up blowing them out. So if I had to bet the game, I would bet Texans +3 because it is a low point spread. You're getting a key number, and they do have a terrific defense. But yeah, Gene, I can't, I don't love it because it just almost feels too easy that we're getting 3 with Houston.
All right, PJ, last time we saw Seattle and the Niners, it was that Seahawk defense absolutely slowing down San Francisco, and now the 12s are involved, and you've got to deal with all of that noise if you're Brock Purdy and company. I'm biased. I had San Francisco Buffalo is my preseason Super Bowl pick, so I'm not going to pick against the Niners. But I also feel like if I could do it over again, I would be looking at Seattle in this spot. What about you?
You know what's funny, guys, is what one game can do to the perception of a team. I mean, nobody wanted any part of the Niners against Philadelphia. Like, nobody was out there betting San Francisco, thought they'd win the game. And now after pulling that upset, now all of a sudden people are like, man, they're giving us 7.5. They're giving us 7 points with the Niners against Seattle. I mean, we just saw this game a couple weeks ago, and that game was in Santa Clara, and it wasn't pretty. San Francisco's offense could do nothing. Now they're without Kittle, and the Seahawks offense, they were able to run the ball. It's Darnold in the playoffs. I get that's a concern. My favorite play, you guys, I just like the first half under 23.5. I have to go back and look, but I want to say that in the wild card round, it might have been 6-0. It was definitely 5-1. But it was money. These games, pretty much the game script for all of them is a feeling out process in the first half. Kind of neither team wants to make the mistakes, very conservative. And then you just let it fly in the fourth quarter. How many games did we see in that late third, early fourth quarter? I mean, these games just open up, and I think it could be similar in this kind of game. So I like first half under 23.5. I think Seattle wins. The line's about right, 7.5. I'd actually probably lay it with Seattle if I had to bet the game, but I do like that first half under.
PJ, this brings us to the game that we are talking about here in Western New York, Bills and Broncos. Hey, this is interesting. The line has flipped here. It was this time yesterday, Bills were favored by 1. Now it's Denver by 1. Is this just the product of the public looking at history and the 1 seeds? We brought this up earlier. Since 2004, 1 seeds just outright 69% of the time they're going to win in the divisional round. So, PJ, your thoughts on the line movement and other plays here for Bills at Broncos?
I think this is the same game as what the Bills just faced in Jacksonville, where you talked about the line movement, Gene. It's very similar. The Bills opened as a favorite, closed as a dog, just like they did against the Jags. They're probably going to close as a dog against Denver. I told you guys that if Jags-Bills was week 19 in the regular season, I would pick the Jags. But because it's a playoff game, I like the Bills. And I think you saw that play out where Josh doesn't make mistakes. Lawrence made 2. He threw those 2 interceptions. Little missed the kick. And all those things ended up being the difference. So I kind of look at this game, and I think it's the same thing. I think Denver's probably a better team. They're at home, which helps. If this was a regular season game, I'd probably be picking the Broncos. But playoff football is a different animal. I think Nix is going to make a couple of mistakes. And I just trust Josh Allen to make the plays that he needs to give the Bills the win. So I think it's going to be another close game, right down to the wire. But I like the Bills to advance to the AFC Championship.
And then, PJ, we got a 3-day weekend in front of us with Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday, and Monday night, the College Football National Championship. We got Miami, and we got the wagon known as the Indiana Hoosiers. Is anything stopping Indiana?
Danger, I can't step in front of that train. I mean, everything in me wants to take Miami because the number's inflated. It's too many points. But you know what? They're just – and you've seen it the last couple of years, whether it was in college football with the Mac Jones Bama team or the Joe Burrow LSU team or the Connecticut men's college basketball team that we've seen in the last 3 years or so. Like – you can't set the lines high enough with some of these teams, right? Like they're just juggernauts. You don't get in their way. So is it too many points? Now that you can get like Miami at 9 at some shops, probably, but it would only be Indiana for me, you guys. They don't make mistakes. They execute at such a high level. They play complementary football. They have so much confidence. And I just think they continue to roll. So I would lay it with Indiana. I think they're going to win the national title. And, it's just ridiculous, the job that Cignetti has done already year 2 there in Bloomington.
Hey, PJ, I'm going to put you on the spot here because I know your wheelhouse is college basketball. And over the holiday week, went to see Syracuse-Clemson. I'm like, oh, the Syracuse team, not impressive. But then, hey, they've rallied off 3 in a row in the ACC. And my question is, what is the ACC here? I don't know if that's good or bad, or your thoughts on what this looks like for Syracuse and just kind of the conference at large here, PJ.
Well, I think the good news for Syracuse and a lot of these other ACC teams, Gene, are that there are so many quad 1 opportunities this year. There's so many opportunities for teams to get resume wins, help them out to try and make the tournament. As you guys know, I mean, the last few years in the ACC, it's been like a 3-4 bid league. The only good teams, it feels like, are Duke consistently. Like maybe Carolina's okay. Clemson's had some good teams. But this year, with like Miami being way better, with SMU being good, Virginia's obviously been an awesome story. Like they might have 8 or 9 teams in the tournament this year. So even though Syracuse is probably going to be on the bubble like they seemingly always are, I think they're in a better spot this year than they have been in the last few, just because the ACC is a much better league than what it's been the last 3 or 4 years.
PJ, it's always great to catch up with you. Even when there's a Verizon outage, we find a way to make it work, a true friendship, and we appreciate you giving us your favorite plays and some winners for this weekend. Enjoy the divisional round. Enjoy the Natty on Monday night, and let's do it again next week.
Absolutely, boys. Always enjoy it. Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll talk again next week.
You got it.
Thanks,
There's
PJ.
PJ Glasser, our sports bar insider, betting insider, giving us his favorite plays for this weekend's action.
What's that cliche? Necessity is the mother of invention. Maybe that's the way to do it. Just punch people up there. That sounded okay.
Oh, on over
Zoom there,
or Zoom or Google Meet or whatever it might
whatever
be.
you have.
Yeah, I know that there are ways other than the telephone. The telephone is the path of least resistance. The easiest way for us to get guests on the air with us, right? But a lot of guests now almost always ask first and foremost, like, what method? Do you want me on Zoom?
Yeah.
Do you want me to?
Well, I think we're at a point now where if someone is actually calling you, something's wrong, right? Like if the phone is ringing, like, oh no, what?
We live in interesting times where you could get a phone call from a number you don't recognize, and when it says congratulations, you hang up the phone immediately. Like, it could be good news. Congratulations. Click.
No, that's not it. Like, I'm getting so many job offers for Target and whatnot every day. Like, yeah, I know I have a bright future if this doesn't work out here.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah, I didn't share that story, man. I
dude.
thought I was a dead man. The girls, my daughters, were afraid for my life. They were afraid for my life. I had to endure verbal abuse for being excited as a fan, for being an immature, excited fan. And I just was sharing the enthusiasm with the people that were closest in proximity. My niece was sitting next to my wife. She got some of it on her pants. I'm like, oh God, did I ruin her pants too? The couch is fine. You get the stain out. It's just really, really tricky. But it will always go down.
What color was the beverage?
Turmeric. It's like this bright orange. Right. It's like
couch?
a bright orange spice that, has health benefits. And she had it mixed in to her drink. And when it got on the white couch, it's like, that ain't coming out. That's that was her thing. It's not coming out, and just out of her mind. And it will always and forever go down as the turmeric game. My family will know it as nothing but the turmeric game. Oh, we'll always remember the turmeric game, because afterwards there was fear for loss of life.
Next time, meaning Sunday night, just run up the stairs and run outside. That's it. That's all you got.
Yell into the void.
Yep.
I did that week 16. I needed to freshen it up a little bit. And plus we had neighbors that were there. I mean, I can't be a bad neighbor and show the neighbors that we had there that this is what I do after a game. I go outside and I yell into the void late at night.
The one thing I like about the divisional round, the kickoff times, 3 and 6:30. That's a big difference, buddy.
You don't have to get up early on Monday. Kids don't have school.
Right.
It's good.
It's going to be painful, though, waiting all day on Sunday. Like, it's the first Sunday, like, okay, kickoff. Oh, no. The end is coming.
Championship Sunday, traditionally, we will get the cuisine from the teams that are being represented, go over to my brother-in-law's house and eat that cuisine. And my buddy Tony, who's also a Bears fan, sent over an order of Chicago deep dish pizza, frozen, ready to go for Championship Sunday. So I appreciate that. Was my birthday gift from my buddy Tony. I appreciate that. And I'm not gonna buy in entirely into what PJ is saying. Yes, the Rams are a better team, we'll say, more talent, we'll say, but there is something happening, and maybe it does end in the championship round. But I do think the Bears can get past the Rams. Now I'm not being greedy. If it ends, I will be fine. We crushed the soul of Green Bay, and as a Bears fan, I don't know that you can ask for much more than that.
This would trip up anybody. Like, which team in the divisional round has the most losses on the season?
Is it Houston? No.
Nope.
It's the Bills.
Nope.
The Bears?
The Bears at 11-6.
Really?
Yep. Which they're a second seed.
Yeah.
And you've got wild card teams from good divisions.
Yeah. Win your division, kids.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. Happy Hour is coming up next in the sports bar. Ed Oliver has returned to practice. What it might potentially mean for Saturday's game in Denver. We'll explore that. We'll recap everything we learned from Matt Perino, who joined us earlier today. And we have some sound from the players as well from practice today. We'll get to all of that and more next, along with your calls at 866-4326, 585-866 for FAN.
The Fan Rochester. WROC AM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester. Sports update.
Ed Oliver on the practice field today. Oliver on whether or not he plays on Saturday, that's too soon to tell. One Bill that is playing at a high level, Tre'Davious White.
I just think, I'm in a position and I'm just going for it. Like I said earlier last week, a lot of guys has been in this game for years and, we know where the weaknesses and the strengths are, but we just attacking and we just towing that line, being able to make the plays when our numbers is called, and that's what guys are doing right now.
Our coverage will begin at noon on Saturday on 96.5 WCMF, Bills and Broncos. Emirates Hockey tonight hosting Syracuse. Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbergs will be by at 7 o'clock with the call. Sabres home tonight, looking to extend this streak. Sabres Hockey will be heard tonight on CMF beginning at 7:30. Oregon quarterback Dante Moore, he's staying at Oregon. Gene Battaglia, sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Happy hour in the sports bar. We welcome you back in. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Thanks for watching on our YouTube channel or our Twitch stream at The Fan Rochester. Ed Oliver, back to practice. Do we see Ed Oliver on Saturday? If we do, how impactful is that for the Buffalo Bills? Or, as Matt Perino suggested earlier when he joined us, is this just a step that maybe you don't see Ed Oliver because it could be risky to bring him back too fast and not have him be as effective as you need him to be?
Well, the Bills have some issues here. Like you only are allowed the 2 elevations and the 53. So right now, 2 open spots at wide receiver, right? But that's kind of clean, right? Samuel and Hardman. Samuel also spoke today. I think it's trending that he will be one of those guys. Okay. Well, bringing it up, Matt talked to Ty Johnson, not getting a good vibe that Ty Johnson is going to be available for this game. If it's a high ankle, you know the deal with that. You just can't will it out there. All right, so that means an elevation has to go to Frank Gore? And then what? Oh, and if you're going to have Ed Oliver, then you got to cut somebody off the 53.
That's right.
Is that Andre Jones? How does that – I don't know how that all kind of works. So there is some gymnastics really, and his take, nobody seems to know. Like, are you going to go with Hancock? Are you going to go in a different direction? The way it kind of works. So how could they not know? Look, particularly at this time of year, practice what you see tonight. It's the stretching. It's everybody out there, and then they kick everybody out.
Yeah.
They don't want anybody saying, "Oh, by the way, it's not going to be Hancock. It's going to be like it's such a big difference here." The Bills have 14 players on that injury report. Josh Allen, okay, listed as a full participant today.
Josh Allen listed as a full participant and ready to take on that Denver defense.
They've got some absolute studs over there. Obviously, they rush the passer extremely well. Interior, they're, again, some big, stout guys that can really push the pocket. They could stop the run in the back end, too. A guy like Pat Surtain, who was Defensive Player of the Year last year, is an absolutely fantastic football player. So, yeah, we're going to have our hands full of just making sure that we're putting in the right stuff, understanding the game plan, getting to the right checks, getting to the right calls, executing and playing for each other, because again, we can't give them any help. That's a good team over there, and anytime you're facing a really good defense, again, you got to go out there and execute and do your part.
The altitude an issue?
No, not for Josh Allen.
Josh Allen on that high altitude that he's familiar with from his days in Wyoming.
Physically, it's going to challenge you. I think the best thing that we can do, though, is not really talk about it, not really think about it, and not making it a problem. Just going out there and doing our job and getting on the sideline, getting some oxygen if you need it. But yeah, I know from firsthand experience it is an advantage, but to have that mindset of understanding that it's going to be tough. But yeah, we got to fight through it.
Exciting stuff. Saturday afternoon, we'll have action for you. We have all the action for you Saturday afternoon. If you want Sabres, if you want Bills, if you want Amherst, we'll have it all for you here Saturday night on The Fan.
Forecast has changed slightly in Denver, where now they're saying upper 40s okay, that's fine. As long as the sun is out, it'll feel good for those players. So.
What else did we learn from Matt Perino when he joined us earlier today?
Well, I think the Tre'Davious White conversation, and if you're looking for, hey, how do the Bills pull this one off? Well, he is playing like a legit corner too. What Matt said is it's let's not kid ourselves. It's not back to the 2019 first-team All-Pro Tre'Davious White, but the idea that you have a confident Trey White. I thought one thing he said that was interesting too was forget about that. Like, he wasn't talking to reporters. He was like in a bad spot. And the idea that, hey, you could have gotten fined for that if somebody complained. Nobody did here in Western New York. Trey White, of any athlete I've ever kind of covered, like his emotional state is a big, big thing. That's a big part of who he is. And if he's out there playing confident and having that booming personality that we all became acquainted with, last decade, I don't see any reason why to think that Trey White can't follow up what he did in Jacksonville and do it again this week.
Very funny, right? Like, as a rookie, Trey White Goalie Academy, we see the big personality, and everybody kind of fell in love with Trey White. But then, over the course of time, and as he kind of solidified himself as CB1 on this team, less and less with the media, less and less, and then the injuries happen, and you just don't hear from the guy. Just don't hear at all from him, and you wonder. And we know that he's hard on himself when there were plays made against him. He wore his emotions on his sleeve.
So his rookie season, the Bills are playing. They're playing Tampa,
Cincinnati.
Well, Cincinnati the week before. Tampa. I'm working the story in reverse because he makes the game-winning interception.
Yeah.
Bam, and the place goes nuts. Shout, dun dun dun, and then we get up to Trey White, and he's still stuck on AJ Green the week before,
right?
Scorching him. Which, dude, you're a rookie. You're only 6 weeks in. And I'm thinking, oh, boy, that's not really a good mindset for a corner, but that's who he is, and maybe he's kind of learned to kind of cope with that over the years.
He's going to have his hands full with Bo Nix and Denver's weapons. Here's Trey White earlier.
Oh, man, this is an explosive offense. Got a lot of gadgets. This is the second year in it. I didn't get to play him against him last year, so it's going to be a different game than it was last year. And I just think that with experience, players get better, and he's a testament to that. He's got a great coach that's calling great plays for him, and Sean Payton, the guy that I watched, growing up because of being from New Orleans and being a Saints guy growing up. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a tough test for it, but we got the guys to do it.
Now, Perino did bring up something else, and Perino's bias towards Sean Payton showed. Like, not a fan, not a Payton guy.
Well, Sean Payton. He's in a pissy mood today.
But I have to agree with Perino. I don't know that I've ever heard a coach give instruction to a fan base on when to cheer, as Sean Payton did earlier.
Yeah, absolutely they can. We got to. I keep saying this, for years we were conditioned to raise the noise level when they broke the huddle. The noise level needs to be loudest when they enter the huddle. And then can you do that? Hey, can we do that collectively for 120? No, I don't need it. I just need it for half the snaps in the game, right? So say 65 snaps, 10 seconds. That's a huge advantage.
I can just see like fans showing up at Mile High, and they've got their play sheet out, and they're checking off we've got 30 snaps we were allowed when they went into the huddle. We only need another 35 more to satiate Coach Payton's requests. I've never heard that before. I've never heard a coach say that the fans can impact the game. The noise is a factor, but with specific instruction, no, they need to be loudest when they're going into the huddle.
Well, don't most fan bases, when they're on defense, like as soon as the play is over, it starts to get louder? I mean, maybe it's just kind of I haven't paid that close attention to the atmosphere in Denver recently.
Well, they still do that goofy incomplete thing.
Incomplete.
Maybe. How often will we hear that? I don't know. Josh Allen had himself a pretty nice day against a good defense in Jacksonville. We'll see. And as far as Allen is concerned, the injuries, I mean it's ridiculous. But as we heard from his lineman, his guard, David Edwards, this guy's as tough as anybody.
I think that Josh is one of those guys that the way he plays and the beating that he may or may not take, like he always shows the same look. He is always the same guy, and that's why we love him and we play so hard for him, just because he puts it all out there for, you know, this team, these coaches, this city, and he's the toughest guy that I've ever met. And you know, whether or not he's feeling good or not, he's going to give it everything he has, and that's why we love him.
It is a concern, though. Like, you can be tough and everything else. He had 14 days following the Browns, you know, and his foot still wasn't quite right. This is only 6 days, and he got to travel. So it's going to be tough, but, hey, once you're out there 4:30, I'm sure, like, everything, all that pain should kind of go out of your mind there and do whatever you can.
I thought that Perino's observation on Brandon Cooks was interesting as well, that a guy like Cooks being around actually makes Keon Coleman sit up a little bit more straight, makes him better, that he's a positive influence, much like a guy like Amari Cooper was last year during Coleman's rookie year. And Coleman is certainly somebody that, for somebody who wasn't able to get a jersey for a good chunk of the season, as an inactive, is going to need to play a pretty significant role, not just as a pass catcher, but I also think as a blocker in the run game.
Yeah, and if there is, like, when we went into the Jacksonville game, did we really say, ooh, that's the weakness? No, we didn't. Like, okay, that's a sound defense, and they're really good against the run. I've heard it from more than one people that good grammar, Gene. More than one person. Riley Moss, the corner from Denver. Is that somebody you can take advantage of? And if you're Patrick Surtain, I would think he's staying on the side of Cooks, or maybe they line him up against Kincaid. Who's Moss lining up against? I mean, could we actually have the Keon Coleman breakout game? You could say week 1, 8 catches, 101 yards, touchdown off a deflection. Keon Coleman, yeah, give me more of that. But could he actually be targeted more in this game if you're going against Moss? That seems like that would be just some safe game planning to me. Just target the weak spot here in the Denver defense.
So there you have it. If you missed our conversation with Matt Perino of Syracuse.com, we've got that up and available for you wherever you get your podcasts. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search out The Sports Bar, and you'll get all of our guest appearances there, including PJ Glasser, our Odyssey and Sports Bar betting insider, who joined us last hour with his favorite plays from the divisional round, and also the college football championship coming up on Monday.
Yeah, the coaching, nobody got fired today. Nobody quit. Coaching vacancies still remaining at 9. John Harbaugh interviewing with the Giants today. That's his first stop, and I don't know if that benefits the Giants, Danger. I don't think it's a one and done.
He did interview with Atlanta first.
Okay.
So Atlanta did get an interview.
Was it in person, though?
I don't know that it was in person. Miami reached out as well. But as far as I think we can tell, this was the first in-person interview. And I know every Giant fan friend of mine is saying he can't leave the venue without a signed contract. I don't see that happening. I think there's probably a lot of negotiating going on if you're a team that's looking to get your hands on John Harbaugh to coach next season. And it becomes more and more clear with every report we get, and also with Mr. Rooney speaking in Pittsburgh today, that Mike Tomlin won't be coaching at least next year.
No, not if he's got 2 years remaining on his contract. And if anybody wants to say, oh, the swap is on here between the Ravens and the Steelers, well, no. Anybody that wants Mike Tomlin for the next 2 years is going to have to pay the Steelers compensation. And it's kind of like we were saying all along with Tomlin. Like, that was somebody who, all right, in my life, I need a break, or maybe I just need something different at this point. PJ Glasser had an interesting point. Like, is the Steelers' job really a plum job? In comparison to some of these other places, probably not. If you're just from, hey, I want a job that's going to pay me and I don't have to worry about my security, okay, then that's the job for you. But in terms of, hey, they don't have a quarterback and you're in a division, you're in a conference that has other talent, it's not that great a job, Danger.
I'd be surprised if they get a big name. The passing game coordinator for the Rams interview. You know, they've reached out to him to interview like that. That's the kind of the Shula that's with LA as well is another one that I'm hearing. Like the Steelers have interest in. It'll be a first time head coach and somebody that they could probably pay a little bit less than what they were paying Tomlin.
Well, that's what they did with Cowher. That's what they did with Tomlin.
Yeah. And they'll find somebody that they can mold and shape and keep on for another 15 to 20 years. I mean, it's kind of weird to think that the Bills, for as inconsistent as they were post Marv Levy, they've got the second longest tenured head coach now with Shanahan and with McVay and Sean McDermott, right behind Andy Reid. So if you had to rank them in terms of attractiveness, I wouldn't put the Pittsburgh Steelers up front. No way. You got Arthur Smith, speaking of the Steelers, interviewing with the Titans today. The Cardinals have requested an interview with Arthur Smith. I mean, look, I think when you're looking for a head coach now in the NFL, you're best suited by casting a really wide net, even though you probably know exactly who you want to hire.
Well, that's true, but there comes a point you're not interviewing the receptionist, right? Like Arthur Smith, really? Like at what stop would you say, man, if only we had that guy? Certainly wasn't Atlanta, not in Pittsburgh. Tennessee, come on.
It does feel like the kind of hire the Cardinals would make, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel like the Cardinals would yeah, we got Arthur Smith. Everything has been taken care of. Cliff Kingsbury's out there, too, taking interviews, and, that's another guy that'll get a second chance.
He interviewed with the Ravens.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, ultimately, and yes, I did listen to Drake C. Toll this morning.
Not only did you listen, you made an appearance on national radio. Gene Battaglia going national.
I was called Bill's expert. Okay.
They didn't get your prediction from the Jaguars game, apparently.
No, they didn't. You could have rolled the tape at all my bad takes on the Bills here, Danger. No, but they were bringing up the point. Oh, I completely lost my train of thought here. What were we talking about?
Drake C. Toll.
Drake C. Toll. It's Steelers. This is not good radio. It'll come to me. Not good. But about that carousel, Steelers job a little bit not what you would think.
Yeah. Packers, Bears, the wild card game set an all-time streaming record on Prime. I don't know if you saw that, Gino. 31.6 million viewers. And for what it's worth, the Bills and the Jags in the same window were up 5.1% from last year's early Sunday wild card game. 32.7 million viewers. The NFL remains undefeated.
Isn't it? I mean, the staggering number is the Amazon number.
I would so love to know, what is the NBA pulling in with their package? What is, what are the other sports pulling in terms of
it's not even
volume of streams?
It's not even close. Like what is NBC doing with their NBA card? Like in regular season NBA Tuesday night, I'm not tuning in. I tuned in the one night when Jordan was on just to see. I tuned in just to see how it kind of presents. And okay, that's nice. I'll check back in some point here in the winter after football season.
We also got word today after his team was eliminated on Monday night that Adam Thielen, wide receiver, has announced his retirement. So 12 seasons, which is kind of crazy to think, most of them with the Vikings, the product of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
You hit me with that. He, in terms of undrafted players in the NFL, he retires having had the most career earnings.
He earned just under $90 million across 12 seasons. He is the highest earning undrafted free agent in NFL history. Shaq Barrett, number 2. Tony Romo, number 3.
And way down on the list, Kurt Warner. That just shows you how things have kind of jumped. That, a 2-time quarterback in Kurt Warner, MVP. That was a few decades ago. So
we have time for your calls. Don't forget about last call coming up here before we close up shop at 866-4326 if you want to have the final word in the sports bar. We could also get to a round of shots here, Gino.
Yeah, let's do that, as we do have some baseball here on a cold Wednesday in the month of January. We've got hockey tonight, a little special night in Buffalo. We'll explain Syracuse basketball. It seems like yesterday, the player in the NBA, we brought up the danger, we brought up LeBron. Giannis Antetokounmpo last night in Milwaukee.
Oh, I saw this. Our friend Bart Winkler had to go on a stream just to go on a rant about this.
Yeah. And Tony Romo, he was a little. I don't know, Jim. He's making an excuse for why he was the way he was on Sunday.
Well, I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah.
A round of shots on the way. Also, Ryan Smith, Rochester Nighthawk, joining us before 6 o'clock as well. More on the way in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan.
update.
Ed Oliver back on the practice field today. Oliver on whether or not he plays on Saturday.
We'll see. I just started walking through today, so we'll see. I'm optimistic. I'm excited, but I don't know yet. So everything good. My practice window open. I'm open to go to practice. I'm contact everything. I'm ready to go.
Well, one more practice this week. That's tomorrow. Short week. Travel day Friday. Game 4:30. Saturday in Denver. The Amherst in action tonight, hosting Syracuse. Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks will have your call. Amherst looking to make it 2 in a row after the win in Belleville on Sunday. The Sabres hosting Philadelphia. Sabres hockey tonight can be heard on 96.5 WCMF beginning at 7:30. Oregon quarterback Dante Moore is not coming out in the NFL draft. He's going to stay with the Ducks. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Listen to 95.7 The Fan Rochester on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps, and take the sports leader with you everywhere you go.
Talk some Rochester Nighthawks lacrosse before 6 o'clock with Ryan Smith, the Nighthawks, joining us here in the sports bar. First, we get to a round of shots.
Yeah, it is a later start tonight for the Sabres. That's because the game is on TNT, Buffalo and Philadelphia. Right now, hey, the Sabres are not in a playoff spot. The Leafs jumping in front with 53 points. Buffalo just 1 point back. Buffalo with 2 games in hand. There's another team that just 1 game back, 2 games in hand. That would be tonight's opponent, Philadelphia. Tonight will also be the 20-year reunion, don't we feel old, of the team that people loved but never got to the Cup final. They got to the conference final, but ultimately losing to Carolina.
This is where the Sabres are at right now. I feel like every game is a playoff game. I feel like they can't lose 2 or 3 games in a row. They can't allow that to happen this season moving forward. If they want to make the postseason, they have. I mean, it's 1 game at a time, obviously, but you can't expect to get another 10-game win streak. That was special. That was historic. That's not happening again.
No, 500 hockey from here on out does not get you in the postseason.
Correct.
That's it.
You got too many teams like the Leafs, like Philadelphia, that could get hot, that could leapfrog you. You just have to treat every game like it's the postseason. And who knows, if you make the postseason with that mindset, by the time you get to the postseason, you're already playing at a level that other teams maybe haven't been playing at.
Well, this is why you laid the groundwork long, long ago for Jarmo Kekalainen to take over. What does he do between now and the trade deadline?
Yeah.
I mean, we're used to standing pat. Okay, 1 year we had the Bo Byron trade. The Sabres over the years, falling in love with your own players, ultimately they're commodities. And can you get something else that might be a better fit? And I think Kekalainen's had enough of a runway here to determine, okay, what do we need to improve on here? And to me, that's also part of the equation here, that this roster right now, not quite good enough. Could be a goaltender danger. Could be. Like this 3, and it, it's worked because one guy's been hurt most of the time, but none of these guys had stepped up and said, hey, the job is mine.
So it's a TNT game tonight. We have the Amherst. CMF will have the Sabres for you tonight.
There you go. Maybe the Syracuse Orange are going to be okay. Well, at least they're being the teams they're supposed to. The Orange knocking off Florida State. The Seminoles now 7-10. Syracuse winning their last 3 now in ACC play to go to 12-5 overall. Donnie Freeman averaging 23 points a game in conference play. Another winnable game is up next Saturday at Boston College. I was thinking, hey, maybe my son and I can go out to the game. 9 o'clock tip time on a Tuesday night kind of makes it irrelevant to go for anybody in Rochester to go out.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too late for East Coast Dad.
No.
Too late for East Coast Dad.
Well, you could be out there. It's just the drive back from Syracuse at that hour.
Yeah, and we know how you like to drive back from Syracuse. We almost died driving back to Syracuse as a team a couple of years ago.
So it's a heavy rainstorm, and Danger and I are calling the kit, which was cool that 2 Section 5 teams are invited to the Dome there, and we're doing it on the local TV. And I see it the last second because it's on an overpass. It's an accident in the left-hand lane, and I'm going about 60 in the left-hand lane.
Yeah, on the throughway.
And the last second I veer. Now, were you awake at that point?
I was dozy.
You were dozy.
Yeah.
So, did you realize, how close we came to death?
Yeah. And, I've as a kid, I totaled my car falling asleep at the wheel. I have a problem sometimes with car rides. Like I can fall asleep pretty easily. But that one jarred me. I was awake after that. Yeah, I'm up. I'm good.
You're good. Yep. Good.
Head on a swivel. Yeah, I don't blame you for not wanting to make that drive back home in the middle of winter after a 9 o'clock tip. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not ending well for Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. The Bucks at home getting blown out by Minnesota, fans booing. It's the third quarter. Giannis with a layup falls to the court, turns to the crowd, and starts booing them and giving them the 2 thumbs down. Mind you, he's doing this at the time when his team is down by 30.
Yeah.
Said Giannis after, whenever I get booed, I boo back.
Hey, fine, Giannis. Go ahead and boo back. But, in the moment, a fan is, even you could say the spoiled fan. They have Giannis, spoiled fan. They've won a title with Giannis. I would say in that moment, in any moment that you're watching sports in action, live action, I mean, maybe with the exception of youth sports, if you're not happy with what's being presented to you as entertainment in the moment, boo. You can boo, you can groan, you can express displeasure. I think that's what being a fan is all about. And if you're Giannis and you're so thin-skinned that you can't handle that,
yeah,
it's just another notch in the column of Giannis being mentally soft. This guy is not a killer. He won a title, and I still, for the life of me, I'm like, how? How did a guy so soft as Giannis mentally ultimately win it all?
Brooklyn, immature and dysfunctional in their path, took care of that. Philadelphia, never quite right. Like, I'm examining what was at the time. You faced Phoenix in the final. Phoenix with old man Chris Brown. Yeah, that was it. It was just, I mean, if the Bills win it all this year, is it going to get discredited? I'm being honest.
Nobody should discredit it.
No, but people might. They might be like, well, of course you won it.
Yeah. Jay Binkley would do it. I wouldn't listen to anybody trying to discredit any championship unless it was played in a bubble. Then I would say, yeah, you did not actually win.
You mean like literally in a bubble, like the Lakers.
And I'm not trying to discredit Giannis's championship. Like, I don't know how they did it because he is soft. He is mentally soft. Booing back at the fans. Play better. You're down 30. That was the biggest win Minnesota has ever had over Milwaukee. Yeah, boo that man. Boo him unmercifully.
That trade deadline's coming up in a few weeks. Maybe it's time. The Yankees, speaking of a trade, the Yankees making a trade. 4 minor leaguers going to the Marlins for left-handed reliever Ryan Weathers. Now, Weathers good when he's healthy. That's the disclaimer. The 26-year-old missed 3 months in 2024 with the Padres. Entering today, there was only one team that hadn't spent a red penny in free agency. That's the Red Sox. 5 years, $120 million. They take Ranger Suarez away from the Phillies.
And I think Philly fans are most relieved that he didn't go to the Mets. Were the Mets in play for Suarez?
I don't know. The Mets news is supposedly they've offered Kyle Tucker $50 million on a short-year deal. Now, this should be the trend, right? Like, if it's a bad deal, like, okay, then you can get out of it quick, and we'll do this all over again. They did this with Alonso for a few years. To me, that just feels kind of you're going in two directions here if you're the Mets here. Like, you're letting go Alonso, you're bringing in Kyle Tucker. I don't know.
Baseball's in a weird place, man. This season's going to be – enjoy this season. Let's just put it that way.
No kidding.
Enjoy this season because I think it's just going in a really weird place.
I don't have any confidence in this commissioner that at the end of the baseball season he'd be like, hey, we're talking about 2027. No, it's going to be this time next year, guess what we're not talking about? Baseball. Finally, one thing we all can agree on that wasn't good on Sunday was the Bills-Jags game, commentated by Tony Romo. We could list all the things that Romo said and did, but now Romo says, he has an excuse. He was sick.
Oh.
Romo telling Adam Shine he wasn't about ready to miss a playoff game. Next time, Tony, I guess, use those sick days?
Yeah, it's funny, though. When do you ever hear about a guy in the booth not being there because he's sick? they're always there, even if their voice is rough. Like I think I remember Tirico doing a game and his voice was like gone and he was just struggling through it, or certainly Collinsworth. You just don't hear of these guys not showing up because there's so much. Like you're not bringing in the B team to cover for the A team because the B team is on assignment as well, doing what they need to do.
This goes back a few years, and Don would probably remember this, but I remember turning on the radio one night to hear the Amex. I'm like, wait a second, why am I listening to the Syracuse call or whatever team they were playing? Because Don had laryngitis.
Couldn't talk.
I think that's the one thing that could kind of knock you out if you actually can't use your voice whatsoever.
Yeah. I don't know. You and I are both, short of COVID, I want to say our track record is pretty good, knock on something. We've been we're the healthiest show.
Are we
in
back,
Rochester?
Yeah, are we back to where we were, meaning, hey, you're sick, work, go through it, or do we still have to?
I'll say this. Fever is the thing. If somebody's running a fever, now how do you know if somebody's running a fever? I could call in tomorrow and be like, I got a fever, Gene. I don't know if I can make it in. And you wouldn't know one way or the other. But the fever is the thing that and if you have a fever, you kind of know you have a fever. Be fever free for 24 hours. I kind of apply like the childish rules of schools to work. Like, yeah, if you don't have a fever for 24 hours, you're probably okay. You got the sniffles? Fine. You got a cough? Fine. You got a fever? Stay home. Don't want your fever. Stay home. But, if you're an employer, that's the easiest thing to mock up, right? Like, it's just running a temperature. Can't do it today. Real sorry. Romo needs to be in a studio. I think the booth days are done. Put him in a studio or demote him. Make him the B team. I mean, if I was CBS, I know they're probably saying J.J. Watt will be, in the booth with Nance. Fine. Olsen needs to be on an A team. Olsen is still great. Greg Olsen is still.
How long's this deal with Fox? I'm wondering.
Not sure. And for what it's worth, I want to say Brady has really, really improved from year one to year two. Like, there were times last year where Brady was hard to listen to and didn't really come off like he knew what he was doing. Couple of instances, though, where he was really insightful, and he's doubled down on that insight this season. I feel like if you got Brady calling your game, he's going to give you some nuggets and some tidbits that make you sit up a little bit straighter, listen a little bit harder. It's pretty good.
I was going to say, do we get? I think this is the only CBS game this week, right?
Yeah, I was going to say. So we probably got Romo and Nance again.
Fantastic.
Sure. We'll take a break, and we'll come back. The Nighthawks, big win on Saturday against Buffalo. Man, love that. Ryan Smith will join us. The team is back this weekend. In fact, they moved their game, right? They had to move their face-off?
Yep. So they pushed it back to 8 o'clock, which if you're doing the math on the Bills game, all right, well, game ends at 7:30. Get in your car. You should get there right in time for face-off.
Should work out nice. Ryan Smith, the Rochester Nighthawks, with a recap of last week's back-to-back on Friday and Saturday, and a look ahead to this weekend's action as well. Stay on the fan here, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950.
You're listening. 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Love our local teams. The Amerks on the ice tonight. You'll be able to hear that action on The Fan Rochester. And this weekend, the Red Hot Nighthawks are back at Blue Cross Arena Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday night, if you haven't heard, they pushed the game time back, 8 p.m. against the Toronto Rock. And one of the leaders on this team, Ryan Smith, joining us on the phone. And Ryan, appreciate the time. By the way, I don't know if you heard Verizon had this outage. I'm just thankful that we're able to connect with you today because it hasn't been that fortunate with everyone today. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. So the weekend that was, going down to Philadelphia, and then how tough is that to turn around and play a rival? And you took care of business certainly Saturday night, too.
100%. It's always tough, especially with a 6-hour bus ride thrown in there. But, it's easier to get into a swing of things having a game the night before. So it was a great 4-point weekend, and now we're on to Toronto.
So talk a little bit about that Bandits game on Saturday, because I think there's one thing that fans that watch you guys think to themselves, like, this season is different. You're not under the umbrella of the Pagulas, therefore you're not sharing time with the same owner of the Bandits, and it sure seems like you guys maybe exercised some demons there with that win over the defending champs.
100%. Yeah, it was a great team effort, full 60 minutes, all the way from hearts and net. To our defense, did a hell of a job against one of the top offenses in the league. To our transition game, we got a couple transition goals, and our offense played super well and possessed the ball well. So it was an all-around team effort, like I said, and super good to get that W at home in front of our fans.
Ryan Smith, Rochester Nighthawks taking on Toronto Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Ryan, I'm glad you're back. You signed a multi-year contract. Why the decision? What led that to that coming back here to the Nighthawks organization this year?
Yeah, it's where I want to be. We're a family, and I got 25 brothers in that locker room, and very thankful for our new ownership with the Seneca Nation and GM Dan Carey, coaching staff. I'm thankful for all of them for wanting me back, and it's where I want to be. It's a great offense. It's really fun to play on, and we're building towards something special here.
Expecting a good crowd on Saturday night. I mean, there's going to be a lot happening in the community. A lot of people are going to be paying attention to what the Bills do. But wisely, we push back face-off to 8 o'clock, and Toronto, the opponent. What do we know about the Rock?
Yeah, they're kind of rebuilding. They didn't have a great year last year, and they're off to a 500 start. But, I mean, they have a goalie of the year from 2 years ago, Nick Rose, and a young and very athletic defense who's going to try to get up the floor and push the ball and score in transition. And then, they have one of the all-time greats up there on offense, and Mark Matthews, kind of leading along a bunch of young guys on that left side who are playing super well so far. Then they got some dangerous shooters on the right side, and Josh Dalek and Chris Fucci. So it's going to take another 60-minute effort to beat these guys.
Yeah, Ryan, I don't know how much a baseball fan you are, but we're very provincial here in Rochester. I think it's kind of cool that Toronto Blue Jay third baseman Ernie Clement is going to be in attendance there. Were you able to kind of I take it you haven't met him yet, but that's kind of a cool little side thing that'll be out there to greet the fans coming up Saturday night.
100%. I'm a big Blue Jays fan, and that playoff run and seeing the city get behind them this year going to the World Series, unfortunately couldn't get it done, but Ernie was a big part of that. I'm looking forward to meeting him.
All right, so the Nighthawks taking on Toronto. That's coming up Saturday night, Blue Cross Arena. Ryan Smith, the Rochester Nighthawks, stopping by the sports bar. Man, we're excited. Good start to the season. You guys are red hot. Big win last Saturday against Buffalo. Looking forward to continue.
Yeah, and it just, thank the organization, right? Like what you talk. I mean, that's being in tune. Like, hey, we understand there's a Bills playoff game coming up. There's no excuse for people. Like, the game will be over by the time you guys face off.
100%. So hopefully they can get a big win, and then we follow it up with another big win for ourselves.
Ryan, be well. Appreciate that. Let's do this again. Good luck getting a W coming up Saturday.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
You guys, there's Ryan Smith, the Rochester Nighthawks. Nighthawks taking on Toronto Saturday night, 8 o'clock at Blue Cross Arena.
Thomas McConvey, we had him on last week, 14 goals.
Oh, Jungle Karma. Jungle Karma. There was Jungle Karma.
Yeah, no,
it is Sports Bar Karma, but
yeah.
it is real. And Ryan Smith, no doubt, will have a great game Saturday night. Just remember when Smith ends up on the score sheet that he came by the sports bar on Wednesday afternoon. And he's not affected by the Verizon outage that affected so many people earlier.
No, we figured out a way. We used new technology called Zoom to get PJ Glasser on. If you missed that, you can just download the Odyssey app. 4 o'clock hour. Matt Perino was fantastic today. 3 o'clock hour. He asked him about Tre'Davious White. It was interesting. Like, that was his longest answer. Like, the storyline of Tre'Davious White, is that the biggest surprise for the Buffalo Bills this season?
I'm stunned by it. I mean, even at training camp when everybody was falling in love with how good he looked, I was still skeptical. And why? Because Sean McDermott even told us, manage your expectations. This is a guy that's coming off of some injuries, and we don't really know. He looks good now, but we don't really know. So, it was McDermott that told us to kind of pump the brakes a little bit on Trey White, given how good he looked in the preseason. Looks good now.
Well, like, you think of how storylines come and go. Oh, my gosh, the Bills, what are they going to do without Maxwell Harrison? Maxwell Harrison, when he's healthy, you're just in there to give the other guys a blow. That's about it at this point.
Pretty much. Tomorrow, we'll have to ask him if he's getting a call and we'll suit up. Former Bills wide receiver, co-host of the Sick Podcast, Stevie Johnson, Stevie Styles, coming in tomorrow afternoon at 3:25. It's funny because, and I love that we have him on with us. He can give us a perspective what Brandon Cooks has meant to this team. The ups and downs of Keon Coleman through the course of the season, what he's seeing out of Coleman's game, and what we can expect with Curtis Samuel, assuming he's back on the roster, with Mecole Hardman, assuming he gets elevated from the practice squad.
Here's the stat. Stevie Johnson was playing in this league the same time Brandon Cooks was.
Oh.
Yeah, like, Stevie, you were 39. Come on, buddy. Practice squad, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, one day closer to kickoff on Saturday. It's going to be fun as the Bills travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. And again, on Saturday, we are loaded with action from the Sabres against the Wild to the Bills to the Amerks to cap it all off.
Well, Amerks tonight here on the Fan. Syracuse, hopefully, I'd like to make it to a Wednesday night game a few times a year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always kind of a different vibe. Tonight is one of those sensory nights. So, a little less music, a little less everything. So if you're really about the hockey danger, then tonight is the night. Amerks against Syracuse. By the way, have you seen the scoreboard at the Winter Olympics for the hockey arena?
No.
Look it up when you get home. Imagine the smallest monitor you could put in an arena. So apparently this is going to get a passing grade. Half the arena is just not going to be complete. So there's going to be one arena that's going to look like the old Blue Cross Arena where there's like, okay, they'll put up a curtain or whatever. But again, it's a TV product. I don't really care. But for the players on the ice, the complaint is the overhead clock is so small that they can't read the time on the clock.
Oh, wow. Jeez. Everything about that arena feels like it's been doomed from the start. Did they finish the locker rooms? They had some action.
They had
there.
the locker rooms, but imagine an arena today with no ribbon board, no this, no blinking that, no nothing. Just one little tiny scoreboard overhanging.
Made for TV product, I suppose.
That's it. Yeah.
Mike Leone, Amerks head coach, on tonight's opponent in Syracuse.
Anytime you play Syracuse, it's a really tight checking game. Like I said, they're really well coached. They're a really good team. I think we're 4-2 against them this year. Last year we had a lot of success. We've been really good at their building, and we got one game left in the segment. We need a point. Hopefully we can get 2 points. And but anytime you play them, there's not a lot of time and space. They defend really well. You're not going to get line rushes. You really got to manage the game. You're not going to get odd man rushes. You can't play one-on-one hockey, and you're going to have to manage the puck. And if you do that, you have a chance. If you want to open it up and try to play a skill game, you're probably not going to have much luck. So guys have really done a good job when we've played them this year. Even the games we've lost, we've been really good against them. So hopefully we do the same.
Don will be by at 7 o'clock. He'll have your call. Amerks Crunch from Blue Cross Arena tonight on the Fan. Rochester Sabres on CMF. That's a 7:30 puck drop. And on TNT tonight for your TV if you weren't going to be able to check it out on CMF. And again, if you miss Matt Perino or PJ Glasser, you can find those conversations wherever you get your shows.
Sorry, Jet fans, Dante Moore is not coming to you.
Yeah, right.
That's surprising to me. Maybe it's the fact that, do I want to go play for the Jets or I can go make all this money at Oregon? This is the new world danger. I don't have to come out in the NFL draft.
That's right. should make for an interesting quarterback room in Oregon as well, with some of what's gone on here in the transfer portal. You can find those conversations with PJ Glasser, with Matt Perino, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Search out the Sports Bar, or check out our YouTube channel where we stream live every afternoon from 3 to 6. And you can go back and watch any part of the show that you may have missed. Stevie Styles, Stevie Johnson tomorrow, 3:25. We're back with a new episode tomorrow starting at 3. Have a great night, and stand by for BetMGM tonight. Next on The Fan Rochester.
You're listening to The Sports Bar with